Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WCS EU Challenger. We have one final match left over in that round of 8 as we finish up 3/4 of it. My name is Fear Dragon, and I am joined by Rotterdam here at the desk. And our next match is going to be Snoot versus Euthermal, the Team Liquid kill.
We've had a couple of long series so far, I think. At least, I mean, the 3-2 was long, and even Sol versus Cero had some long games. On paper, this should be the longest one, though, Ravi. I mean, we all know Snoot.
Yeah.
Snoot likes to get his queens up. He likes to take it slow. Euthermal, on the other end, can be a little bit more aggressive, but is also very confident in the ultra late game. So I think this is going to be a really good one. I think on paper, this looked like the best quarterfinal match, but the other ones have been really good already, so.
Yeah, it's kind of been funny because you look at Cero versus Sol, everyone I think just expects a 3-0 there, a lot of people did. And Sol gives a really good fight in the first 2 games, does get kind of bopped later on in the series, but then Mana versus Bly is an absolute slugfest in terms of the weirdness and the things that they're doing. Namshar showing some really good games versus Nurchio, kind of get a bit of an upset there. And here, these two guys are so incredibly close against each other. It's funny because of the Team Liquid kill stuff that goes on, right? So they always face off against each other. It's 54 and 53 in map score. They're like one map away from being dead even in favor of Euthermal.
Ah, so he's the big favorite.
So he's the huge favorite, guys. He has a winning record of 50%, like 50.3% or something.
Alrighty, well, here we go for the last quarterfinals of WCS EU Challenger. Of course, making it into the top 4 is massive. We haven't put too much emphasis on it, but that means that you get seeded into the round of 32 at actual WCS Valencia. So that means you don't have to go through all those tough group stages, especially in Europe. I think a lot of those good Europeans come out. It guarantees more prize money, and Blizzard will also cover your trip. So let's see who of these two is going to be fortunate enough to get that. As we're looking at the main base of our Norwegian Zerg, it is Snoot.
Oh, but Roddy.
No.
You know, the win rate of certain builds in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, but also in the center of the map, is extremely high. We have the red Terran player. It is Team Liquid's Euthermal.
Did I just jinx it by saying this is going to be the longest series?
You know, you have to remember though, Sol's games versus Cero, almost like the first cool 2 ones that went long were actually Proxy Rexes. And we got the Proxy 3 Rex. This is pretty committed because it's going to be 3 of them.
I love this, by the way.
Okay, so here's a funny thing. Snoot actually levied some criticism at a lot of other Zergs, saying they actually just need to deal with it, because it was funny. Snoot, he's a Zerg player, and he is saying all the Zerg players that are complaining about the 3 racks and the 2 racks pressure, he said, you know, you guys are just playing too greedy. Like, you just got to open up with pool first a little more often.
And that's what he did as well here in game number 1 on Lost and Found. Snoot doesn't know yet that he's facing this, but he's about to find out. I really love this meta of hiding in plain sight, by the way. We used to find all the corners, and then people we should always check the corners. And now we've gone full circles. Like, what if you just build it right in front of the nature of the Zerg? Now, Euthermal is going to be aware of the fact that this was a pool before. Bonker takes a lot of damage and is forced. At least there was a cancel there. But one SCV goes down very quickly, so that makes it a little bit tougher for Euthermal.
That's a pretty big deal because you really want to be able to get those bunkers up. But the Marines are doing a great job just buying some space for that SCV to work on that bunker. Drones are being pulled off the line. The SCV's in a very safe spot right now, so instead Snoot just goes after the bunker. Then he goes for the Marines. A little bit of indecision. The Queen will be able to kill off that SCV before the bunker finishes, but there's another SCV behind it.
Yep, one more SCV. That Queen obviously wants to get it. There's a Spine Crawler that's running towards his bunker as well. We need to finish up that bunker real quick. Can the Spine pick up the SCV before
I don't think it's gonna burrow in time. The bunker is gonna finish up. There's 4 Marines exactly. Those the Sunken is also gonna end up taking some damage. That's way too much damage for Snoot already. I think that this has already worked for Euthermal.
Yep, I think you're right. I mean, there is 2 Queens, and of course you can say it's 2 hatches, but Marines will still come forward. And I mean, Snoot only has 11 drones. If Snoot had like 13 or 14 drones right now, I'd be like, you know, I think this is fine with the Spine, just buy some extra time. Now, Euthermal is transitioning behind all of this at home, by the way. He's throwing up the CC. He is mining gas. But I do think he still wants a little bit more out of his bunker, don't you think so?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure he would love to be able to get another queen. I mean, even just delay things a little bit longer, because the hatchery did get up safely. So Snoot took a lot of economic damage during all this, but there's still Marines being made. Euthermal is still committing more to this. I'm actually almost wondering, he still has that SCV alive. Would you make another bunker or something and make this even more annoying to break through?
No, because the bunker wouldn't be in range of the hatchery, so I think that's pointless. Does get the queen, but that queen did land the transfuse at the very last moment, but the second queen gets picked off as well. I mean, if Snoot keeps his hatch alive, then it's not that bad, right? Like, it looked very grim for a second when that spine was forced to reposition, but since the bunker isn't in range of the hatchery...
Maybe, but he also never got any gas geysers up. He lost a lot of workers in the process, which is why he's down so many workers. And he's never gotten up a critical number of units to actually ever break through this. He can't really counterattack either, right?
Yeah. I'm not saying I love it for Snoot, but I just don't want to count him out yet.
Yeah, I think there's still an opportunity here for him to maybe make something happen, which is why he's in the game still. His queens also have enough energy for some transfuses, but that's a lot of Marines, Roddy.
Yeah, but it's a lot of energy at this point on these queens as well. And don't forget, every shot from these queens really does hurt these Marines. The Marine count does go up very quickly, you're right. And soon they will start wailing away this hatchery, and then it's going to go down quite quickly. But the queen count is getting higher and higher. 4 queens are not supposed to go down against just a couple of Marines. I think Snoot is stabilizing, which is very impressive if you consider the fact that he was down to 11 workers.
Okay, queens trying to buy some space still for these spine crawlers, and now one of them burrows in range of that bunker. It is getting repaired, so it's going to go down very slowly. But of course, that damage output is a little bit higher than the repair can actually handle. Marines starting to step forward, or starting to stutter step forward, I should say, and they don't manage to get any of the queens. The transfuses are on point, and Euthermal has to abandon ship, but this isn't going to be chased down, and that is a bit of a blessing there for Euthermal.
Now, you're spot on when you say that this was still... Oh, he actually turns around and comes back, but that was perhaps a mistake. I mean, this is Snoot we're talking about. Snoot has 6 queens before the 6-minute mark. Are you kidding me?
That is a really nice way to put it. And Euthermal, he is going to have some Hellions and stuff coming out. He's got his Viking because he has been taking up behind all this. Whereas Snoot still does not have, I think he just got is getting his gas geyser up right now. So he hasn't had Zergling speed coming on the way. He doesn't have a lair on the way. In fact, he still doesn't even have his third. And actually, Thermal's just planting some Marines down by the third. Because remember, a lot of these units that have been defending are queens, which don't function well off of creep, and spine crawlers that actually don't function off of creep.
Euthermal throws on a scan to pick off 2 creep tumors, but you're gonna have to do it a few more times with the amount of queens the Snoot already has out on the map. Now, I do think the one thing that Euthermal was hoping was to keep Snoot on 2 hatcheries for a little bit longer, right? But Snoot was able to squeeze his drone by. The barracks barely didn't see it, and I think Euthermal was actually gonna be quite sad when he sees that hatchery is already pretty much more than halfway done. I don't think he can really do anything about it. The Hellions, obviously, they can just drive by 3 spine crawlers and 4 or 5 queens. So now Euthermal spots it, but I think that's too late to do something about it.
Yeah, I think he was really, I agree with you. I think he was really hoping that south location was going to be taken for the third. But instead, now he's going to have to settle for just light little pressure with the Hellion harassment, the Viking heading over into the main base to try and get some damage on, and also making 2 Cyclones. Is he making more than that? These are kind of interesting to make right now.
I think he wants to pressure this hatch, but against all those queens, the spines. So maybe if the queen shows up as well, there's no spore crawler yet, but there is a spore on the way, which is in the main base. There's still no lair, by the way. So Cloak Banshees, you could say technically have a lot of potential, right? If there is no spore here, there's a lot of potential for that Banshee that's about to show up. And that's not the only Banshee. I think there were... Well, actually, it is the only Banshee.
Oh, yeah, and the Spore is finally starting up now, but we even have the Cyclones focus firing down those spine crawlers. Those are going down pretty quickly. One of them has already fallen. The Transfuse is keeping the second one alive, but that actually goes down even with some Transfuse available. The Banshee is going uncontested. Roddy, I think this actually might be a little too much.
Yeah, the Cyclone has pushed out so much damage. There is a Spore crawler now, so that Spore is very important to keep the Banshee alive. Wow, he keeps it outside of range. That's so sick.
He's inside range right now. If the Queen, okay, now the Banshee is going to be able to retreat back. That got really scary there for a moment, but somehow Snoot does hold on.
Yeah, and I find it very, very impressive because he didn't have a lot of units to work with, right? It was mostly queens and the spines, a little bit of static defenses there. Saves the hatchery, saves the spore crawler, can now obviously... Snoot, you need to attack up. He's still building 3 queens at once.
I mean, it's kind of a dangerous spot though, regardless. He's still
Snoot.
up against...
No, he's still building queens outside of the main. Come on, Snoot.
Oh, okay. Well,
Snoot, attack up. right?
I mean, from here, what do you do? Do you go for like a Nidus roam play or something? Like,
no, you just go Lair and then make Hydras. Hydra Bane.
let me put it this way. It's a Zerg player that saturates his third at the same time that the Terran player has established his third and has already been muling it.
I mean, that's bad, but Nidus would never really work though, right? What's going to happen? Units come out one by one, Stim is going to be done, +1 combat shield is done, Cyclones are out, tanks are out. I mean, if you Nidus now, it's just going to get gunned down in a second. I think you just have to play a very passive game.
Well, good thing that Snoot is known for that. Yeah, he's pretty good at this. Yeah. What a coincidence. He's going to get up that Roach Warren. He's going to get up some Carapace upgrade, as well as finally getting up that Lair tech. The Banshee's still looking for opportunities to get some damage. And of course, his Banshee can also get some really good scouting information on the Lair timing and what exactly the tech follow-up is going to be.
The queen count is so silly at this point. Snoot has 10 queens.
I feel like I'm watching True right now or something.
True?
True loves his queens.
Oh, no, he does. He loves his queens and his Zerglings.
Yeah.
Just as we say that, Snoot fires up 22 lanes.
You know, I mean, I don't hate that for just defensive purposes. We even see the push out happening right now.
This is going to be funny because it's going to be tanks shooting at queens that are healing each other for probably 45 seconds straight. I feel like this is a situation where Snoot has been in before, but it's going to take so long to even get Baneling speed right.
He doesn't have damage output. He doesn't even have the Banelings morphed in because the Baneling nest is not done. I think he just loses his third. Yeah, he realizes it.
Oh, that's very unfortunate for Snoot. For all his hard efforts in this game, he's been fighting an uphill battle ever since he lost 6 or 7 drones. Kind of thought that could have very well been it early on. A couple of roaches spawned in the middle of this Terran army. But you're right, this Terran army has upgrades as well. 1-1 on these Marines. The tanks are going to see off. The link count is quite high though, Snoot. I would say it's now a Never though, right?
Yeah, he might be waiting for... I thought he was waiting for the roaches to come in from behind. He does actually absorb some of the tank fire. The Lings get on top of these siege tanks. The Queens managed to survive. The last siege tank is not going to go down. There it is. There's the focus fire. The Marines are still trading out decently well, though, at the end of the day, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, the Marines still standing strong. A few more Queens are going to go down, and it's just roaches. The roaches that pop are roaches with no upgrades. I mean, they have Carapace, but no speed.
One Cyclone is just holding the line for the Marines to go after drones. Oh
man, if I was Snoot, I'd be so frustrated after this game. Because it feels like you've done a lot of things right, and yet it feels like you're fighting a hopeless battle. And it's such a soul-crushing feeling.
It's the situation where Snoot is... Oh, God, there's already another army. It's a situation where Snoot is doing so many things considering the situation he's been in, but it's always been considering that he's behind, considering that all this other stuff. He's playing really well. The problem is he's been playing from behind regardless the entire time, and Euthermal's also been really on point.
Yeah, I mean... The income tab doesn't lie, right? I mean, this just looks kind of brutal. Euthermal must be mining so much more. He has a more powerful army. He has more income. Euthermal doesn't even bother to siege up. Why take it slow if you can take it fast? Stims forward. He's eating some corrosive balls, but Euthermal does just seem not to care at all. He just walks forward. He wants to pick up as many drones as he can. He gets all of them, and I think this could very well be it here for game number 1 on Lost and Found. As Snoot is pulling all the drones, and it's still not going to be enough.
All right, and we end up having our Terran player taking the first game of this best of 5. Really kind of odd the situation where we end up seeing Snoot. He goes to the pool first, which oftentimes is what a lot of Zerg consider the best way to try and help respond versus like those 3 racks pressures. But still ends up taking a lot of drone damage in the process, and the entire game he's playing from behind. I
think that was, I mean, it's almost unfair, right, to criticize Zerg players to this tiny moment where things go wrong. But I think he chased out one moment a little bit too far with drones only. There was one Marine that was low on HP in the beginning of the game, and like 5 drones were chasing it, and Euthermal pulled it back. And then he had 4 Marines shooting at drones, and then suddenly you see that little number on the left side. You see it rack up so quickly. It was 1, 2, and then suddenly it's like 4, 5, 6, 7, and it's like, okay, well, now it gets hard.
It was that moment also where I think a moment before that even, he has this a bit of, it seemed like maybe indecision or something, where I think he wants to go after the SCV building the bunker, which, by the way, going after an SCV building a building, even for pro players, can sometimes be a little bit difficult because it bounces around, getting the exact pixel precision click to hit the SCV, not the bunker itself. You end up seeing Snoot go after the bunker, for a moment, and then he goes after the Marines, so he kind of loses a little bit of that ability to go and do some damage. Like, it's those small little moments, like Roddy was saying, that really make a huge difference in the defense.
It's just, it looks very tough, right? Even with pool before hatch, where you do have quicker access to those queens, you do have quicker access to those zerglings, you can see that it's still hard. Now, at least you could say the good thing for Snoot is that that bunker was not in range of the hatchery, because if that bunker is in range of the hatchery, I mean, then it's over in the very beginning, right? The moment that 4 Marines get in and you can't take the bunker down anymore. Because it wasn't in range, Snoot was able to buy some time, dance back and forth, but yeah, the economic view of the game was just not looking
And that wasn't a mistake either, that the bunker wasn't in range. It was specifically Snoot going after the bunkers whenever they were coming down inside of range of the hatchery, and when it wasn't inside the range of the hatchery, that's when he was kind of like, all right, you can have that one, but I'm going to try and push the Marines back.
Alrighty, we have hopped into 16-bit, a map with a pocket expand, so hopefully we don't see any SCVs leave the base too early. Over here on the left bottom side, we're looking at the main base of the Intel Extreme Masters champion of Shanghai a year or two ago. It is Utermal.
GLBHF.
Hey, actually says on his... didn't even know, guys. Didn't even know.
All right, spawning up here in the top right-hand corner of the map, we have the blue Zerg player from Team Liquid. It is Snoot.
I don't think Snoot is expecting Utermal to do the same build on this map, even though we did see Soul do it, but I'm expecting Snoot to go hatch first here. And obviously he sent out that drone already. Yeah, I think it makes sense. Now, preferably Zerg players do enjoy taking this base a little bit more, and if you're new to StarCraft and you wonder why would you take the one that's a little bit more out there, that's more risky? It's a lot easier to get a creep going forward, and Zerg, I mean, lives on creep. The fights on creep go a million times better than the fights off creep, so it's nicer to take this as your natural, because that's where the queens spawn and you can start spreading those tumors forward. But of course that's a little bit more risky against 2-Rex, 3-Rex, and Utermal seemed to be a fan of it. He was a big fan of the Reapers as well, so Snoot is respecting it and decides to play it safe.
Yep, and Utermal is going to try and also play around with the whole idea of, my opponent likes to at least go for a lot of these early pool openings as well, so maybe he's saying, I'm not going to try and go for the 2 or 3 racks this game. Just going to let him have it 16-bit, a bit of a weird map to try and pull it off on. Because even if your opponent goes for that low ground expansion, we've seen, for example, Serral, you just go for the other hatchery and it's like, maybe it ends up being okay. But
you know, I must say though, ever since that meme, or that tweet that accidentally became a meme by
Hearthstone, the Protoss player.
Yes, who said that it seems that 2-Rex or 3-Rex has an incredibly high win rate in tournaments. Like, we joke about it, but it has won almost every single game we cast. The only one it didn't win was
Soul game.
Soul versus Serral. But that's also because on this map you have a pocket expand, and that makes this map unique, obviously, right? Every other map doesn't have a pocket expand. And now I really wonder, like, how would it have played out if there was no pocket expand?
Well, in that game, Serral did lose the hatchery, and things are looking pretty grim if he didn't have the pocket expand, so I think I would be inclined to agree with you a little bit.
Yeah, and Soul was in a still, despite the fact that this base has, or this map has a pocket expand, I think Soul was in a really good position here. If you guys just joined us, if you're just waking up over here on the West Coast, it's still a little bit early. East Coast people should be awake and alive. Should be having coffee by now, maybe some donuts, why not? Take a look at Soul vs Serral, especially the first 2 games. I think they are very, very entertaining and absolutely worth watching.
All right. Reaper is poking forward. It's a little bit harder to get too much information on this kind of map with that earlier Reaper, as we end up seeing that can't really get into the natural, or can't really get too like into the gas geyser and everything. The Queen's doing a great job zoning it back.
The Hellions are already coming, by the way. If Utermal can keep this up for a little bit, no, he cannot. Oh, if he would have been able to keep that up for like 3 or 4 more seconds, then the Hellions would start showing up, and then it would become so awkward for Snoot to expand, and it would become so difficult as well.
Yeah, being able to delay that third hatchery is a really nice boon, but unable to do it for this game. It's not the end of the world, it's just kind of like a nice bonus if you can find it. Queen's going to be making their way down. Is that second Reaper?
Yep. I really think that Utermal was maybe not counting on it or banking on it, but I think that Utermal saw huge potential there. And I think if he would have been able to just pick up that drone and then buy enough time for the Hellions to show up, then I honestly don't know what Snoot does, because how does Snoot expand then? Then he had basically all 3 queens needed to be here for a drone to safely make its way to the low ground. And even then...
Roddy, these... Okay, I know that there are more queens still being made by Snoot. That's all well and good. He's already up to 5, and he's going up to a 6th queen. But all of his queens are so far off of creep at the front. He has 5 of his queens at the front. The Liberator is making its way across the map. It's going to go over to that natural, and
There's a spore.
there is a Spore. Okay. Can reburrow in the right position.
That's Snoot already reburrows it before the Liberator is even set
so
up.
Fast.
Yeah, well done, well done.
Very well handled so far. A couple more Hellions going to be joining the fray of the forces over at the front of the 3rd hatchery, also finishing up, so that creep spread is also getting there. The Liberator is still trying to be annoying. Snoot is so quick on the reactions to that, though.
There's so many Hellions, by the way. We're going up to 9 Hellions. One queen should get transfused. He missed it. Snoot had energy.
Got to be careful with that. And these other queens are even starting to get into their orange and yellow health. Not a concern just yet, but it's going to start being a concern if he doesn't, get some of those transfuses down. But even the creep spread is also kind of getting pushed back, so Euthermal's still finding little bits and pieces of damage.
Made an insane amount of Hellions, though, and I don't think that that many Hellions truly paid for themselves, right? I really think that Euthermal was hoping for one less queen, and at one point you can just jump on top of those queens with your Reaper and your 8 Hellions, but that didn't work out, as we have a small Link counter that obviously doesn't have any access into the main base.
Yeah, the SCV is still sort of on the safe side of this barracks that's building, and the supply depots are getting focus fired down. It looks like Euthermal should be able to repair that back up. Liberator sieging up the main base is going to be able to find a queen. Finally, Snoot a little bit slower to react to this one.
Yep, I love how he's focusing on drones at this point as well. Don't shoot at queens when you're not going to be able to get them. So it's a queen and it's 5 drones. I think that's a little bit more than Euthermal was supposed to get there, but he will gladly take it.
Yeah, and he definitely wants to find some damage after, like you said, he was committing so much to the Hellions. His double engineering bays do come down a little bit later because of that, and just some of the other stuff gets started up a little bit later, but he's still going to have 1-1, about on par in timing with Snoot, who's getting up his own 1-1, as well as that Baneling Nest and the Lair going to be finishing up soon.
Yep, Armory being thrown down as well. Now, this is obviously going to be interesting, right? Because I think it's safe to say that this will come down to a battle around the 4th base of Snoot. Snoot is expanding towards the south side. Now, if you go a little bit further south, these are pretty sweet positions, right, for tanks. And don't... Wow, that's a pretty quick squire as well. What? Okay.
I'm not... Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. He looks like he wants to go into Linkling Muta, which is something that we were seeing for a while. I feel like I didn't see as much of it for, I want to say, the past couple of weeks, but we definitely were seeing it for a little while, about a month ago.
Now 2 Medivacs are heading towards the pocket expand over here of Snoot. Snoot doesn't have too many units here, so this drop could actually be successful. There is Stim, but no +1 yet, and no combat shield either. But a couple of Stim Marines can still pick up a few drones very quickly.
Yeah, little bits and pieces of free damage. Of course, I'm sure he would love to get some additional scouting information as well. I wonder if any alarm bells are being set off by the fact that he's only really seen Lings, that he hasn't seen anything but Lings and Queens so far.
Yeah, I mean, on the end of the day, making Marines is not that bad, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a decent reaction to mutas.
Yeah.
We'll see how things end up panning out and when those mutas are going to be revealed. Where is Euthermal with his army? Because the Medivacs are going to be a little bit more vulnerable sometimes if you are going in the middle of a drop and the mutas start popping out. But wow, that Hive tech timing.
Yeah, I find that very fast, but I'm worried for Snoot, man. I said this in the beginning of, a couple of those Hellions were still alive as well, and he repaired them, so they've now morphed into Hellbats. This is a good position for those tanks, right? You told me you want to siege up there. This is not the previous game. You can't just stim forward. Banelings roll in as well. I think he was a little bit late with sieging up the tanks, but I still like this fight a lot for Euthermal. All the Marines survive, and Snoot is in a lot of trouble.
All the tanks survive as well. The Banelings all get taken out. And guess what, Roddy? There's no more Banelings on the map. There's no more Banelings being made. 40 Lings on the way, but he needs to be able to clean this up, and these Siege Tanks are still doing damage. Siege Tanks focus firing down some of these Queens, and there's no transfuse energy left over.
Really good job by Euthermal picking off the Queens that still had energy. You can see him right-clicking on it. In the end, Snoot will barely clean this up with his additional Lings that were coming forward, as he picked up the Medivacs as well with his Queens, but that was an expensive hold for Snoot. Okay, he kept the base alive, he kept the drones alive, don't get me wrong, that's good. But all those Queens that went down, I mean, 9 Queens have gone down. That's very, very, very expensive.
Oh, the money scan pops down and sees not only the Spire, but also sees the Hive Tech completed and an Ultralisk Cavern on the way. I think that at this point, Euthermal seeing, oh, you really only had Lings, Queens, and maybe 3 or 4 Banelings. You really were doing something with that. And now he knows exactly what that is. Is he going to actually have the defenses up? It looks like he has missile turrets inside of one of his bases at least, so he is expecting those mutas.
I don't think he's worried about mutas going into his main. I think that Snoot should worry about this army instead that's knocking on his front door. Now, there is an Ultralisk Cavern on the way. 3 extra barracks have just been thrown down in the main. I assume that all of them will be adding tech labs. Now, I felt that it wouldn't have been so bad for Snoot if he would have maybe been able to do something about this fort base, because technically he did clean up almost all the forces of Euthermal, and maybe there was some hope there to just run a bunch of Zerglings and get a cancel on this planetary, or soon to be planetary, that was being built on location. Since that's not the case, I mean, we kind of know how these fights go, right? With Ling, Baneling, Muta against all these Marines and Liberators.
Yeah, especially off of creep. And the creep spread is starting to get further out into the map. It's pretty much around the center, but there's still a bit of a ways away before he can really get hyper aggressive with those units unless he has overwhelming numbers. But Euthermal sitting up in supply, and a lot of it is in army supplies, making his push down to that bottom right-hand base once again.
I'm surprised he didn't add any tech labs yet on those 3 barracks, because I feel like that's kind of the whole point of him adding them. But we'll see. He's once again going to have this strong setup with multiple tanks, and this time the medevac count is very high as well. And Snoot knows that with just a couple of Queens and a couple of Mutas, he's not going to be able to pick off all those medevacs. So Snoot may go for a massive counter here, but he has to be very careful.
I like picking off some of the reinforcements. He is going to be able to get another one of these siege tanks, but like you said, he has to be careful because already losing and bleeding out some of these units. Now goes over the planetary fortress, but it is a planetary fortress. Not a whole lot going to happen over there. He's still trying to buy time because the ultras are coming out, and I believe that Chitinous plating just finished up. So maybe now he can take a big engagement, but he needs his whole army together for that.
Yeah, if they're even on upgrade and he has Chitinous, obviously the Marines are not going to be ultra effective against those ultras, but the Liberators and the tanks should be doing more than alright, and the ultra count is not going to be high though, Rafi. 2 ultras, I mean, I love me some Space Skulls, don't get me wrong, but...
Wouldn't it be great if there was something that, you know, could heal up those ultras?
Yes, like 9 of them.
Like maybe around 9 of them that build up energy and have this ability called Transfuse. Yeah. Of course, it is a little bit tough. He needed those Queens to help stay alive in this situation, but this is where it's going to start hurting a lot.
The Mutas have been very pointless so far, right? And maybe you could say that it's
defense. They ever move across the map? I mean, they're helpful for medevacs.
Yes, yeah, but I mean, they haven't really done anything yet.
Yeah.
Obviously, if Euthermal would start dropping all over the place, it is very nice to have Mutas. I do understand that you probably can't rush into Ultras without it, but it must feel bad though to invest that many resources.
This could be a good flank? No, he's going to just pull back. I thought there was a great opportunity there to come in from both sides, but... Yeah. Maybe he's a little scared. The Xel'Naga Watchtower's there too.
Sometimes as a Zerg player, you may want to just hang in there a little bit longer. Maybe he's waiting for those upgrades, and maybe he feels like if your units are that far away from my bases, even if I could potentially get a good fight, why not force you to come a little closer to my bases, come closer to the reinforcements and give me even more time to set up and maybe get those 3 upgrades that he's actually getting now. So I don't hate that he didn't go for it.
Yeah, but here we go. He's going to come in from just one angle. The Marines trying to dodge away from some of those Banelings. There's a lot of siege tanks, a lot of Liberators. The Mutas and the Corruptors finding some value there, and it looks like Snoot is going to be able to clean house and keeps all of those Ultras alive as well.
Damn. Those 3 upgrades kicking in at the right time. All of the base, they just survived, right? They survived the tank shots. The Marines were running, but they had no place to go. At one point, they were just running into a wall. I believe a Liberator got picked off there as well.
Heading into the main base, didn't quite make it there. Looks like some other Medevacs actually getting picked off in the top side as Euthermal was on the retreat, and now it's Snoot that's sitting up 40-50 supply, making some Banelings and maybe looking to bust into that natural.
Damn, after that fight happened at the right side, right, and Snoot was even forced to evacuate that base, really didn't expect it, but fighting off creep, fighting near a planetary is still always a little bit risky, but maybe the base.
He gets 8 workers. I don't think that was worth it though, right?
No, but I mean, how much did he truly lose there? An Ultra and a couple?
He lost some of the Banelings, the Ultra. I was just surprised because I thought he was going to go to the natural, just because there's not a planetary there.
Yeah. No,
it's a little bit easier of a retreat.
No, absolutely. Now, there is a 5th base going up as well for Euthermal. Snoot is not aware of it yet. Does Euthermal even know about... Yeah, okay, he does know. He doesn't know that Snoot has retaken this base, but he may be assuming that, because obviously after Zerg players win a fight, they love to re-expand. Yutomo moving out now, I find a little bit ambitious. He doesn't really have any real power units. There's a couple of Marauders in the mix.
Oh, one of the medevacs also ends up going down. This is becoming a problem. He's only making Liberators right now. With that last medevac, that's the last medevac on the map. He can't stim up anymore without being, or actually still be healed.
Double nuke going down.
Oh.
Snoot pulled his workers of this base. I know there is a fight here as well, but he is not reacting to this one. So that means a whole bunch of drones go down, but it's only 11. In the end, this fight is just as important. I feel like Snoot should keep those ultras with his main army, though.
Yeah, he has another Ultra that just rallied forward. Okay, he is going to be able to pull those back. Looks like oh my god, the Ghost is working away at some of these drones. 29 workers still end up going down, though, on Euthermal's side. So he might have gotten the nuke off, but he is the one that's still sitting down in workers now.
Yep, and he lost that 5th base, right? I mean, Euthermal killed a couple of workers, but he didn't take down any of the hatches, while Snoot took down a base and he killed workers. So that's obviously a massive advantage for iNorwegian Zerg.
Well, more nukes on the way, so Euthermal by no means going to be kind of giving up on that front. Still hoping to get some more harassment done, or even just maybe take a good nuke to the face for Snoot if he ever gets opportunity. But a lot of Ultras out on the map now, 8 of them in fact. And Burrow also being researched. Okay, I like it.
I'm actually shocked that Euthermal is mining more here. It really feels like Snoot should be mining more here, but I guess it's just the power of the mule.
It's the power of the... Yeah, whenever I see that with a Terran player, I'm always like, all right, I'm just going to look at all the bases. So I'm going to find the mules. There's going to be 10 of them, and it's going to shoot back down after those mules expire. Another nuke coming up. Ooh, oh, this is such a sick bait. You go for the nuke, and you also set up a Liberator to distract your opponent, but then it looks like the ghosts do, or the drones do get pulled away.
Where is the Ghost anyway?
It was right next to the extractor. The corpse is still there.
Oh, it just got picked off?
Yeah, it's still there. It's fading away. It's gone.
I have no idea. I'm like, where is the Ghost anyway?
It was next to the bottom extractor. Yeah, anyways. Okay, well, a lot more Lings on the way. Snoot getting up that burrow as well. Can use that to try and be annoying and deny bases, but also potentially for those burrowed Banelings. The kind of funny thing is, there's a lot of area where there's not actually creep, and that's where burrowed Banelings can be effective.
Pretty sure that Snoot did spot this red dot. That would be a very expensive one not to spot. I love those tactical nukes though. You can always cancel them, but he doesn't. Whoa! Yutomo was not paying attention.
Whoa.
Oh, he's right. Or maybe it was, and he just. But that was an expensive hatch snipe though. I know that he just took out 2 bases. Take out 9 o'clock and also, well, was it 9? No, that's not 9 at all. 3 and 4.
Is Snoot trying to cut off this army, or is he just ignoring it?
Oh, I think he's gonna go for the planetary. He's like,
okay.
You just lost multiple medevacs and marauders. There's a bunch of liberators here, and you don't want to attack a planetary with that many libs on top of it.
Yeah, maybe you go for the big Baneling bus on it or something, but why not just go for the free base? That's just an orbital command that I think may have even just been floated over. No, there's still the main base orbital command there, so it was one of the newer orbital commands.
Snoot's still mining more money now, but there is action all over the place. A massive drop in the left top side, so that means that this base will no longer be mining. Yutomo's gonna get a few more workers at this point as well, while Snoot is dropping Overlord Creep. Actually at 9 o'clock this time, guys. I do know my clock, sort of.
There was also Baneling's actually able to clean up one of those drops. Well, mostly clean up the drop, the damn Marauders.
So the big problem I see here for Snoot, Ravi, is that how does he win?
He's having a lot of trouble pushing into anything outside of like that, the 5th base attempts that we have from Euthermal. I almost feel like the way that he wins is he bleeds Euthermal out on those 4 bases.
Yep, I think you're spot on. It seems like that is the right way to do it. Or indeed you go for that natural, like you said before. But going near this planetary, that seems to be almost a suicide mission. You don't obviously want to do that. As Euthermal once again is going to try to get another cancel on this base on the top side of the map.
Okay, so Euthermal kind of fighting back and is also doing a lot of economic damage to Snoot by sniping off all these bases repeatedly. Snoot having a bit of trouble dealing with the drops on the top left and the bottom right at the same time. There's another force moving in from Euthermal to that right-hand side where he's ready to start snipe off a base as soon as it pops up there.
Some quality games so far today. I'm really enjoying it. I love these games. It's just excellent and fun to watch.
That was a queen. I thought it was an Infestor for a moment.
All right, so this base is obviously going to be very, very important. And Snoot is like, I know it. And he sends his entire army. And then he's like, wait a minute, nuclear missile. Maybe I should take care of that. As he does take care of this ghost. This time we did spot the corpse. But he knows it as well. I mean, How many Liberators do we currently have out on the map? 6. Okay, a couple of them are still here though. Those won't be helping out. If I was Utermo, I'd only leave a single Lib here, because this 5th base, that's the base that's going to be the most important. If Utermo ever wants to max out on the dream army of Ghost Liberator, he needs this base.
All right, here we go, though. Snute is going to have something to say about that. Corruptor's leading the charge, taking out some of the Liberators. Slowly but surely, the Orbital Command has to lift, but SCVs are not going to be able to escape out of there unscathed. Now come in the Banelings, and Utermal just does not have the army. He's trying to go for his own drop harassment over by the Natural at the same time. He's trying to do some damage to Snute, but if he loses everything on his side of the map, what does it matter?
He's dropping a nuke as well.
I don't know if that's going to finish right now, Roddy.
Probably not, because the Bane is going to blow up the depots, and then in the end that Ghost will get picked up as well. Good pickups there by Utermo, but he doesn't have much left. Now he finds those 3 Liberators that I really feel he could have used on the other side of the map. I know Utermo is still doing stuff here, but it's just a couple of Marines. It's a Marauder and a Marine. They may get that hatch, but that's not going to be enough. GG, Snute evens up the score.
Hot damn, Roddy. We got some good games today.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with some really, really solid macro play off of a kind of weird-ish opening situation, we end up seeing Snute able to play really, really well in that game.
I think the best call that Snute made in that game is after he did sort of keep that base alive at 3 o'clock. I messed it up before, but he lost all the queens, right? The next push, we look at it as like, yeah, there's simply no way. And Snute, obviously being the mature and experienced player that he is, he's like, yeah, there is no way. So he just grabs all the drones, puts them at another base, and it always feels really bad when you're in a position where you just have to like sacrifice a base.
Yeah.
But then he just kind of sung it out. He got his ultras out first. It was 1, 2. Then suddenly look at 5, 6. He gets 3 upgrades. He gets kindness plating. I think that was a very, very good call by Jens.
Yeah, it's not an easy call to make to say, yeah, you know what, I'd rather lose a base than the game. I'd rather lose in a bit of an advantage in this situation than lose the entire game itself. And
I think he would have
hard.
I really think he would have lost the game there if he tries to keep that base alive, because then you have to go up that ramp again into those tanks. This time the medevac count was at 5, you know, so
yeah,
you're not just gonna gun down 5 medevacs with a couple of queens. So
yeah,
really well done. It was a fun game to watch.
All right, Dreamcatcher is going to be our next map, though, and this should be another fun one as we hop into the, of course, a tied-up series 1-1. Remember, these are best of 5s, but this is also single elimination. So, unfortunately, one of these Liquid players are going to get knocked out right here.
I know. Which one is going to be, though? I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. This is... It's so funny because, again, these guys are so close in their map score. Euthermal's leading up by 1 map. Snute getting it closer and closer.
So according to history, he's supposed to win this one as well, right? So he has, again, that 1 map lead.
He just maintains a 1 map lead, 1 to 2 map lead.
Yes, and then that means that Utermo takes the series 3-2.
Shouldn't it mean that Snute takes this next game? Because then it ties him up in overall map history. Because Euthermal started off the series 1-0.
Okay, so Snute takes this one, then
So
Utermo
Snute
wins
takes
game
this
4.
one, and then he wins 2 games.
Yeah, okay. I can get behind it.
Yeah.
All right, well, we let them know that we are ready, but I believe Utermo requested 1 second. Obviously, 2 pretty intense games. I think the first one was a little more smooth sailing for Utermo, even though the game dragged on, but...
It was an advantage that he was able to continue carrying on, as opposed to that last game, which was a little bit weird. There was, like, definitely some weird moments there for Snute, like losing a lot of the queens and stuff, but overall, it was like a more back and forth game for sure.
Yep, 16-bit obviously one of the larger maps out there and does often create these long macro games. I would have loved to see Utermo being able to pull off that tiny trick he had in the beginning with the Reaper, with the Hellions, and then that second Reaper coming in, because he landed the grenade, and I really feel if he gets the drone then, it's like, man, that must be so annoying for Snute.
I feel like 16-bit is specifically one of the maps you can do that stuff on because you know where the third is going to be. Whereas a lot of maps, there's like an option between 2 bases. You can choose, you know, like Catalyst and all the other even like Dreamcatcher, I feel like there's still that opportunity as we move into Dreamcatcher next. There's still opportunity to take 2 different bases.
So first, Utermo needed a little break, guys, and now Snute needs a little break of 2 minutes as well. So if you guys wonder...
They're coordinating this. This is that teamwork.
There's always 7 people out there that are like, God, just stop talking and start the game already. It's like, yeah, actually, we would love to do that. But sometimes we give the players their time as well.
You know, the casters are almost never the reason for the delay, except for that last time that I was on the desk with Nate. and they were waiting for the casters to be ready, and I just never noticed. So we were just sitting here talking, and Nate was like, "Hey, so are we starting the game yet?" I'm like, "We're waiting on the oh, they're waiting on us."
Oh, miscommunication, it
Yeah,
happens.
happens occasionally, but most of the time we're just waiting on the players.
So if you look at all 3 quarterfinals that we've had so far,
Yeah.
what's your favorite series?
Ooh.
What do you think was the biggest upset?
I mean, I have a little bit. Okay, well, biggest upset I think is pretty easy. We take a look and we're like, okay, Namshar beating Nurchio is I think the one that a lot of people are sort of surprised by. In a weird way, I know this is kind of an odd thing to say. I would say that there's also an argument to be made that Soul taking those first 2 games of Soul versus Serral are kind of an upset. Even though he didn't even end up winning this one of them, he ended up losing one of them. It's like, I still think it was such impressive play. I kind of consider it a bit of an upset. And then I would say my favorite series, I'm a little bit biased. I'm a huge Mana fan. I'm a huge Mana fan. He's like the first player I fanboyed over. So seeing him do well is always nice. And of course, Bly is a fun player as well.
Pretty cool to see the rematch of WCS Austin Grand Finals here today in the semifinals. That's basically going to be the next series that comes up, guys, because of course...
I want to actually bring something up with that.
All right.
If you remember,
Yes.
that Grand Finals, we ended up seeing Mana sit at a point where he was up in the series. I think the only player I've seen go up in the series versus Serral
Was 2-1.
2-1. These are best of 5, so you'd have to go 3-2 or 3-1 or something, but this isn't going to be a best of 7 like the Grand Finals was.
He was up 2-1, and he was in a fantastic position in Game 4.
He could have been up 3-1, and in a best of 5, that would have been victory over Serral.
Yes, but Serral doesn't really lose series. And I think, like, it's really funny because some people were actually critical of Serral, saying like, Serral didn't look that great in Austin. And I mean, that's ridiculous when the guy goes 17-4, drops only 4 maps in the entire tournament. But I sort of do get where it was coming from.
Yeah.
Because in the finals, Serral looked a little bit sloppy, looked a little bit reckless. He put himself in awkward spots, even in the games that he still won.
I think this is going back to like a really important concept that you've talked about, where it's when you play against someone or you see someone playing against another player that's very good, those very good players will make someone else look bad, or they'll make them look worse. And Mana played well enough in those games that I think he made Serral look a little more mortal or more human, which makes it look like he's making more mistakes than usual. But he's still very, very good.
Well, let's see if that was a one-time thing or not. That's going to be coming up next here at WCS EU Challenger. But for now, all eyes on Dreamcatcher as we have loaded in. And we're looking at the main base of Mr. Schlappy. It is Uthermal.
Not looking too sloppy today.
Haha.
Spawning down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have our Blue Zerg player going for the pool first yet again. A little concerned about those 2 and 3 racks. We got Team Liquid Snoot.
Top 8, 2018 at WCS Leipzig and at Austin. Of course, he had a pretty good 2017, not the type of year where he was racking up tournament after tournament, collecting trophies like he was doing in 2016.
He was collecting second place trophies last year.
Oh, of course, made it to the finals in Montreal, made it to the finals in Valencia. So overall, a solid year for Snoot, where he made plenty of money. But at the end of the day, Ravi, you want to collect a couple trophies as well.
Yeah, I think that there are a few people out there, you know, that gotten quite a few second places that would say, yeah, you know, first place would be pretty nice. I know Snoot is, of course. He was happy with his performances getting to the finals twice in a row, but I think that he is also still very much excited about trying to get a first place on the board.
So it's going to be a very regular opening here for Uthermal. We did see that pool coming out of Snoot before the hatchery, so he's still respecting the possibility of Uthermal sending a couple of SCVs to the other side of the map. I can imagine it being the case, maybe on a Catalyst. Do you think he might do it on the Catalyst?
You know, I think he could do it on any map. I think he could have done it on 16-bit also.
No.
Uthermal?
Yeah, not against Snoot.
I actually think especially versus someone like Snoot, just because they are teammates and they talk a lot, and I think that there's the extra level of mind games, because as soon as you think that it's not something that would make sense, that's when it makes sense.
I understand he doesn't do it on Dreamcatcher, though. I think this is... I'm actually surprised that Snoot goes hatch first here.
I think you still find value, though, because if the Reaper moves out, then the Lings move forward. But I think that Uthermal keeping his Reaper at home is a read on Snoot,
of course,
who specifically likes going for a lot of pool first to help deal with 2 or 3 racks.
And that makes these Zerglings very sad. So they're just standing here, hoping for that Reaper Man to make their way to the other side of the map. But
I think he's going to wait until the Hellions pop out, and then the Hellions are going to move out with the Reaper, and then he's going to move in and try and kill off an SCV.
yeah, of course. I mean, even you can just get a single mule, right? And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, this was not all that bad. So this is when the Overlord will see the Reaper leaving. Soon it's like, shouldn't it be Hellions leaving as well? Oh, come on.
Oh, man. Schlampy knows his teammate well.
Hey, how did this even happen?
We got that SCV out nice and early, man. It looks like he's going to have that medevac coming out. The Hellions, it looks like, the nice thing for Snoot here is that there is definitely going to be 4 Hellions moving out, and there's only that one Reaper, so he's not going to actually be able to deny that third for that much longer.
Oh, this is nice though for Utomo. He picks off those Zerglings before they show up, before they can truly start being annoying. Now, if you guys wonder, how did I not see a starport on the bottom side of the map? I actually don't see the bottom of my screen very well with the way that I'm standing. So I apologize for missing that, but that obviously means that Utomo is going to be able to drop 4 Hellions into the main base of Snoot, an opening that's popular in Terran versus Protoss. But why not throw it out in this matchup if it can go uncontested? Does Snoot see it? Snoot sees it now, but he's going to pay the price, man.
He's not even pulling the workers until much later on. 7-8 workers have already fallen. That's pretty big damage so far. And the Queens are so far out of position because they were busy dealing with the Reaper over by the third base to allow the drone to finish.
And obviously Utomo is going to try this one more time. He has a Liberator as a follow-up. This Liberator is going to show up a lot quicker.
The wall's not complete, and there were a lot of Lings making their way across the map, but he pulls them back to deal with the Hellions.
Yeah, but he's got 4 Hellions at home anyway, so those Lings wouldn't do much, right?
Oh yeah, the Hellions actually were finishing up there, yeah. Okay, and now the Wallen is also completed by that third command center popping up, so
this is going to be interesting. It's like 8 Hellions and a Liberator? Okay.
Queens at the front with the Liberators. Going to be sieging up inside the main base. It looks like the Queens are there in a good position. They are going to be able to get a snipe off on that Liberator. That's a really, really nice pick off because now just have to worry about the Hellions.
Utomo's probably wondering, how many Queens do you already have? This doesn't make any sense. Why do you have too many Queens everywhere? There is another Liberator on the way. I would have preferred it if Utomo would have gone, let's say with the Hellions, even just try to go into the natural, or try to fight those 3 Queens, and maybe then Snoot would be distracted, and that's when you show up with the Liberator, rather than Liberator first, Hellions second, because Hellions are a lot faster anyway.
Do you think that Snoot knows about that the starport was proxy?
Oh, I think he knows by now.
Okay, I guess there's not much you can do about it at this given moment.
If you send a bunch of Lings to chase it down, then just going to get fried by the Hellions. But I think, especially the Liberator timing, truly gave it away. But even the medevac timing, you'll be like, whoa, that's too soon. That's not supposed to happen that quick.
Okay, looks like that medevac going to get pushed back. The Queen's not going to allow him to move forward. Another Liberator comes in from the far north side, taking a very long journey around the map to make it there.
I'm not sure how I feel about Liberators versus Snoot.
Just because he gets so many Queens?
Yeah. Now, obviously, when I say that, there is a Liberator that finally finds an opening, forces all the drones to stop mining. So this is nice. But in general, I feel against somebody who has this many Queens, Liberators are not cheap units. So every single time a Liberator just stands there and gets gunned down, we'll be like, you know,
I think they're even more expensive in this kind of situation. Hold that thought. We do have some of these Hellions getting some drones roasted, getting a lot of drones roasted, in fact, and some Lings as well. Good positioning. The Lings having a hard time cleaning those up, but yeah, I was gonna say, like, this is an even harder situation for those Liberators to go down without doing too much damage because the starport was proxied, so it has this long journey back home where he's not making anything from that starport, and he doesn't have additional medevacs or anything coming out. You can see he lost that original medevac. He doesn't have any air units whatsoever right now.
No, but I mean, I don't think that Snoot can necessarily be very aggressive right now.
Yeah.
I mean, the layout was very late because of all this aggression. Don't forget that Snoot lost a lot of drones, and Snoot likes to replace his drones. I mean, 16 workers have gone down throughout this game. I don't think it's that bad for Utomo. I actually kind of like it even. I'm going to go as far to say that I like it. Now, obviously, there is a fort base. There is a Baneling nest on the way, so Baneling speed will be on the way. Is it going to play like some Roach Ravager, Ling Bane, or what's happening here?
Okay.
Or maybe, do you think he's gonna throw down a Hydra then as well?
Okay, so he's seen the Marine, so he knows that this is definitely gonna be like a straight up bio play. Because before, I guess he had only really seen a lot of the Hellions and stuff, and maybe anything he had spotted at the front. But yeah, there's gonna be the Hydra Den and the really fast Infestation Pit once again.
Okay. They might just stack up all the way. Bailing speed has been started. Let's take a look at the units from Snoot. He's got a couple of Lings over there on the right side. These Marines are going to pick up a couple of these creep tumors. Maybe a scan. No, he doesn't want to scan.
Right.
Main base? Okay.
Yeah, there's not too many units over here. There's a handful of Lings and a Roach or two, but the Queens sitting over by that third make this kind of a little bit difficult. You can still back out of here, but picking up those Marines go down to that dead airspace, but
Good
not
defense.
not a whole lot getting done there.
Nope. And soon he's like, all right, weather this storm, 12 more drones while I'm
Oh.
going on the way to Hive. Why not? And the Hydra then is finished up as well. So there's going to be some good old Hydra Ling bait. I guess the Roaches were just for safety, maybe, or like you said, maybe in the weird case, it could have been Mac. I mean, Uturbo likes to play Mac. He even does it against
Yeah.
Protoss, so.
this is very true. But it looks like he's not going to need too many of those Roaches, at least for now. He has 10 of them, I guess, yeah, like you said, for safety. If there were a lot of Hellions popping out or something, continuing the aggression.
Yeah, or
But-
even Hellbats.
Oh, actually, okay, some Ravagers I actually would not hate. You know, you still get the utility of the Ravagers, take out some of the Siege Tanks from a bit of a distance, even further than the Hydras can reach.
Yeah, maybe Liberators as well.
Yeah, I actually don't hate it too much. Liberators, yeah, but I think you still have the Hydras, so I feel like the Liberators even less so. Maybe Liberators with range or something. It's nicer.
We'll see how this one plays out, but you're right, especially against the tanks. If Uturbo makes a similar push to what he did on 16-bit, or you could even say Lost and Found, it would be very nice to have a couple of corrosive balls to fall back on. Uturbo accidentally finds his base in the right top side of the map as he was on a mission of sweeping creep off the map. And he's like, oh, you're trying to take the gold, but this is one of those moments that I think we've seen this a couple times, right? Zerg plays just double expand. It's like, if I can mine have the gold, that's awesome, but if I can, if you make your entire army move towards the right top side of the map, then it is what it is. I've lost 300 minerals, but I still did get 6 or 7 o'clock up.
I mean,
so.
can we get the distance vision on the new base for Euthermal versus the new base of the gold base? They're basically a stone's throw apart, and Euthermal's just gonna waltz over. It's maybe a screen, it's one screen apart.
So that's going to be a very easy cancel, but like I said, this does
Yeah.
mean that, you know, it's going to be a little bit easier for Snoot to defend that base that he recently took at 6 or 7 o'clock over here on the left bottom side. That makes it, you know, it's a 300 mineral investment, and it didn't even finish up, so he canceled it.
Spire is on the way, and the Hive Tech is finished up, so that's allowing things like Adrenal Glands to come up, a lot of Bailings finishing up. We don't see any Vipers just yet, and, okay.
Oh, we have 2 Vipers, by the way.
Oh. Okay, yeah, sorry, there are 2 Vipers already out on the map, looks like.
So maybe a couple of abducts or even a blinding cloud, parasitic bomb, all of it can be useful. I mean, parasitic bomb least likely in this scenario. We'll see how this goes, but blinding clouds, look at these corrosive balls connecting with the
I
tanks.
like it. You know, on this particular map, that is actually a really smart idea of why to get the Ravagers out.
Abduct. Yeah, I like that choice. He is abducting both Liberators. He only gets one of them though.
And uses a lot of energy for those as well. And now he's gonna have to get some of that energy from that extractor.
The Medivacs were a little bit clumped up there, but barely avoided those corrosive balls. This is a good position for
Oh,
all
the
those
Medivacs,
tanks
the
though.
Medivacs, the Medivacs, they all just go in. Without the Marines, he just lost almost all of them.
Okay, more energy being leached on these Vipers. During all of this, a great Aspire is on the way as well. More Liberators start showing up. Snoot desperately wants a few more of those abducts. Preferably on those Liberators to make sure that it doesn't get too scary. Now, Uturbo has a random hit squad. I mean, that's kind of funny, right? It's like a bunch of Marines on the left bottom side. Why not?
Okay. It seems like Euthermal really wants to try and
Blinding
move
Cloud?
forward. Okay, the Queen's going after some of those Siege Tanks. The Blinding Cloud's being thrown down, and the Bailings go in on top of the Siege Tanks instead of the Marines. The Marines are all on the left-hand side, but I think that dude still has more than enough to clean this up.
Yeah, on creep, these fights are just so nice for Zerglings, Banelings, and Ravagers. Everything gets on top of those Marines so quick. And like you said, I mean, losing the majority of his Medivacs, didn't lose all of them, but like 3 or 4, kind of recklessly, just made it very hard for Marines to even stay alive there. And Stim, I don't think Snoot should commit to this attack because he's got everything going for himself, right? He's got the Great Aspire, he's got additional Vipers on the way.
And he's got a bit of supply extra left around. Actually, make use of that Greater Spire. Just needs to actually start up a couple of those Corruptors, and then he'll be good to go and maybe start putting some more real pressure on. Because you take a look at Euthermal on the other hand, he does not have a Ghost Academy as far as I can tell, and I don't think that he really has too many answers to the Broodlords or something. He has Liberator, sure, that's great for something like Ultras. It's not Ultras coming though, Roddy.
I love this random tank, Ravi. This tank is soon going to be found. It's going to be like, where's my backup?
No. I think that the siege tank is going to hit some lings.
Yeah.
And then the lings are all just going to back up because they're going to think, no, never mind. I was convinced it was going to be like a bait where you're like, oh, the whole army's right there. Better back up.
Well, there is a planetary here. Uturmo stimming on the left bottom side of the map. He's stimming forward. He knows that Snoot is a little bit out of position. That's a little bit reckless by Snoot because he didn't have to be this far out of position. So that's kind of an easy pickoff here on this 5th base. At the same time, Snoot is finding a couple of siege tanks in the middle of the map.
Very, very nice pickoffs here. And now we end up seeing this weird situation where Thermal is going to try and make his way over into the main base and ends up losing one of the medevacs. At the same time, Snoot just pounces the rest of the army because he says, well, you have a lot of your army loaded up in those medevacs. You're not really all together right now.
Snoot is all over the place and he's winning fights almost everywhere, while Uturmo, I feel like, is losing a lot of fights. But this drop in the main is actually going quite well. He's obviously going to lose these forces against the Hydras. A couple of Marines got picked up as well. This drop was surprisingly effective, but I'm not sure if that's going to be enough to justify losing as many units as Uturmo did lose.
Yeah, and now he's going to end up finally losing those medevacs. The Marines are
Is
still
he done?
holding the line. I mean, the medevacs have gone down. He doesn't have the healing, but he's still getting damage. And he's pulling so many lings back versus Snoot. Oh my god. Finally, some Baelists might be able to clean this up.
That's ridiculous.
Oh, wow.
During all of this, he got a cancel on another 5th base on the right top side of the map while Snoot tried to take the gold. And Uturmo still lost a lot of expensive units though, guys. I know that may have looked very good, but he lost medevacs, he lost Liberators, he lost siege tanks. So it's not all rainbows and butterflies for the Terran, but I feel that was almost game ending the way it looked like, and Uturmo made the best of it.
He bought himself a lot more time. He's getting up another one of those starports. Maybe he can start that Viking production up once the Broodlords actually start coming out. But I think that Snoot has just been going ham on Lings and Hydras lately. Yeah. He hasn't really been going for any of the Broodlord tech he teched up to.
So Uturmo randomly finds a couple of Hydras. He's going to stim forward. He's going to get maybe a Queen, but this is a massive Hydra army though. A few Marauders and a few tanks is not going to be enough to deal with this. The Marines don't really get too much. I think Uturmo got a little overconfident there.
Yeah, he gets a little too far forward with some of those Marines. He's going to end up losing so much of his army. The siege tank's going down. Just 48 Lings on production right now for Snoot as he barrels across the map.
Hydra's off creep into tanks. I'm never a big fan of that.
And the planetary, yeah, he's going to end up backing out. He just goes after some of the bio he can snipe off on the retreat. But this is still a bit of a weird situation. He's constantly having trouble ever getting in on any of the bases of Uthermal.
That's true. I mean, it is kind of bizarre that Uturmo is the one that's mining off 5 bases, right? Snoot's hatch has just finished up again. So you can say that as soon as he saturates this, then at least it's going to be even. But he's down, actually. Snoot is down 9 workers. Snoot has the bigger army. I think Snoot is going to go for it, Ravi. I mean, he's down 9 workers.
How do you feel about the fact that he's had the Broodlord tech available to try and make the more gradual push? It also seems like Uthermal never really has the army for it. Do you think that it would take too long to actually get up the Broodlords and delay his push in?
I think that the drop kind of tilted Snoot, and he just fired up like 22 Hydras at that point, and he burned through his bank, and now maybe he feels like it's a do or die kind of game. There's a Liberator being annoying on the right top side of the map, so Snoot can't mine of his gold. Snoot is gathering up a little bit of a bank, though.
Yeah, but Uthermal is maxed out now, so okay, well here we have another big fight. Banelings making some decent connections. The siege tanks are also being pulled in, and Snoot is going to be able to crush this army of Uthermal, and just a little too far from Planetary Fortresses and other defenses, so all the talk aside that we were saying before, I think that Snoot has enough now to barrel through.
Who needs Broodlords when you've got Hydra Bane, a couple Blinding Clouds go down as well. More units coming in from the north side, though. Planetary still being repaired, but it will go down.
It will eventually end up going down. Those units bought a lot of time there for a moment.
Uturmo was sending a lot of medevacs, or at least bio units, to the right top side of the map, and even though he might get this gold base, I think that he feels very sad about losing his 5th, because that's obviously the most important base, the freshest base that he had.
I mean, I think he feels bad about losing his entire army twice over, as now he's sitting down almost 50 army supply, and he is starting to get back up in more of an army. He somehow is able to, I guess, scare Snoot further back into not continuing to aggress there, moving through a choke point maybe a little bit. Snoot's a little wary of.
So now I feel that he should start up a couple of Corruptors, Snoot that is, and more of those Corruptors into Broodlords. Why not?
More Lings, more Banelings, and more Ravagers, Roddy. Who needs anything beyond Lair Tech?
I mean, that's a little bit risky, I feel. I didn't mind it that much before because maybe he felt the pace of the game was too high to go into a slow-moving unit like the Broodlord. But after he just did not only a lot of economic damage, but he also won a couple battles, I feel that's when, you know, you can get those powerful units out and then re-siege the 5th base, you know, and just show up with those Broodlords. Because we know, like Hydra Link Bane, it looks awesome, right? When you're winning fight, you're winning fight, okay, 7 Corruptors. And then there's one bad fight. There's one fight where you step into too many liberation zones, the Planetary gets a few hits off, the tanks start wailing away, and suddenly your army just melts.
Okay, well, like you said, we might be seeing those Broodlords coming out soon. We'll see. I'm just waiting for this to actually be some sort of weird caster curse where he gets out the 7 Corruptors and then just uses them to pick off Liberators.
Like, I love the patience that Snoot has in some of his games, but after he just took that fantastic fight here, like, I understand that he lost the gold and he's a little bit worried about that, but just, you know, he had this base as his 5th, and just take the 6th in the left bottom side of the map and keep pressuring and keep denying this base. Because now your thermal's maxed out again, though, and it gets risky, doesn't it?
Yeah, he was starting to move forward up to the north side. The rocks have been knocked down, so he's going to have a hard time breaking through on this side. He's going to need a lot of time to knock down those rocks once again. There we finally have a couple of Broodlords being made. And Snoot ends up backing off, and now there's going to be maybe a defender's advantage, maybe a little bit of creep he can work with. But this is him being on the defensive now.
And his 3 Broodlords enough. That is...
he's got 3 more on the way.
Okay, now he fights up. He needed to free up some supply. He actually needed to lose a couple of those links because he didn't have any supply to get more Broodlords. I don't think 3 would have necessarily been enough. 6, however, then we start talking Broodlords, Rocky.
Well, you still have to protect them versus the bio, make sure they do not get anywhere close to those Broodlords. Once you do start utilizing them, though, that's when the Siege Tank friendly fire is really going to start working against you, Thermal. Is he going to be able to just unsiege his Siege Tanks right here? He's got to be careful with those Broodlords, but he's doing a good job keeping them alive with the cliff. Well, at least most of them.
Yeah, a single one goes down, that's not too bad. Now it's 5 Broodlords, you thermal scan. Those 2 are very exposed though. The Marines are gonna go forward. Thermal wants to get it and he gets one of them.
Yeah, he gets one of them. A lot of this friendly fire from the Siege Tanks, though, also doing a good amount of damage to the bio. So you thermal has to be careful. All these Broodlords are super far forward now, and I think they're finding opportunities to get in on top of these Siege Tanks.
Oh, he steams forward again, he gets another one, and the second one goes down as well. Damn it, Uthermal is doing this incredibly well. And don't forget, every time he loses supply, he's replacing it with Vikings. So then once he will actually have an answer. He gets the Vipers there as well. But that Blinding Cloud is so sick.
Okay, and now we end up seeing the Lings, the Banelings all charge in on top of those Siege Tanks. All of them get taken out. The Hydras and the Broodlords handle the bio on the south side. And that's too much. Snoot overwhelms his teammate. Goes up 2-1.
That Blinding Cloud on top of like 5 tanks, I believe it was.
I was skeptical because he ran in with those Vipers, and I was like, you're right on top of the bio. But he gets them down in a really clutch moment.
That was actually a really good game again. I mean, well done by Snoot there in the end, closing it out with those Broodlords. It's always a little bit awkward to micro a unit that is that slow against units that are that fast when it's Marines. So sometimes, like, yes, it may look like there were mistakes, but Snoot had the money, and above all, I mean, he had the setup of the rest of his army. It wasn't just the Broodlords that had to get it done. He still had those Hydras, he still had those Banes, and in the end, they're fighting for like 70-80% on creep there, which is obviously good enough.
Yeah, kind of a weird situation where I know we were saying like, you know, this is looking really dicey there. But ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ready to move on to Catalyst for game number 4. But before that, we're going to go to a short break. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WCS European Challenger. We are going to be moving into our next game. Game number 4 in just a little bit. Euthermal just taking a little bit of a break right now as he gets things resolved and kind of puts his head in the right mind space as he's now sitting up, or I would say sitting in a situation where he's down 1-2.
I just saw we had a little text there below our name. That's cute.
What did yours say?
I casted 97 live events.
Oh.
You know what yours said?
What?
North American StarCraft 2 guru.
You know what they should have put?
No.
It's my 7-year casting anniversary today.
7 years?
7 years.
How do you know when you started casting? Like,
Because I uploaded my very first video as soon as I cast it.
and that's the very first time
That's
you
the very first one. And 7 years ago today, I
wish.
put it.
Really?
I still remember that game actually really well. It was me. I literally cast the game of myself because I didn't know how to get anyone else's replays. And it was me just patting myself on the back for defending a 4-gate by force fielding the ramp. And I messed up the force field like 3 times.
I
I was
mean,
like, yeah, I did. This guy's pretty good. This guy's pretty good.
that happened in the semifinals of the World Championship in 2012 still, so don't worry. Those 4 gates were tricky, man.
This is true. This is true. 2011, it was on a good old Lost Temple as well.
Yeah, Lost Temple, Cloud Kingdom. Those 4 gates were naughty, man.
Oh my god.
hard to deal with.
Tal'Darim Altar was the true 4-gate.
Yeah, of course,
map.
because you didn't have any,
No ramp.
no ramp, indeed.
That was great.
That's funny. I wish I knew the day that I started casting. I don't know.
I feel like you started casting at
Warcraft.
actual tournaments. Oh, okay, yeah. If you started casting Warcraft, yeah. I was gonna say with StarCraft, you probably could track back the original cast date.
No, I mean, I know StarCraft, the very first cast I ever did was Home Story Cup 1. And if you guys wonder why we're not starting Game 4, Euthermal needed a couple minutes. So we're just waiting until Euthermal's solely ready to go. So we'll just walk down memory lane, talk about the beautiful moments that we've had with this video game. I mean, Home Story Cup 1 is technically the very first SC2 cast I ever did. I never cast before that. But in Warcraft 3, I don't know, I think a random WC3L event. I was just there as a visitor. I saw people stand behind a desk talking about my video game. I listened to them and I'm like, you guys don't know what you're talking about.
You know what? I think I actually heard you talking about this in an interview, or was it on the Pylon show?
I don't think I spoke about it on Pilot Show, but yeah,
Yeah.
I was at an event. I was
Yeah.
literal at an event. I was a
That's great.
professional Warcraft 3 player, but I wasn't playing that tournament. I was like, hey, that's really cool. They're talking about the game. I was like, I want to talk about the game. That seems really fun.
All right, guys, if you can find that video, send it to Roddy.
Oh, no. Do not send it to Roddy because
Post it on Reddit so that everyone can see
no.
Rotterdam's first cast.
I thought I did a good job. And then, it's really funny. 'Cause
Some things are better left in the past as
Yes.
a rosy tinted memory.
No, it's amazing. In 2009, I spent 3 weeks in South Korea together with Johan Merlo.
Yeah.
And we were in charge of casting a GOM TV tournament back then. But it was just us. Like, we had no assistants whatsoever. There was a crew, and they would just be like, oh, you guys are here? Cool. Good luck with it, Other than that, zero assistance whatsoever, no support. We just sit down, and it was really funny because I always thought we did a really good job, right? And then one day someone's like, hey, man, I found this video of you and Todd casting. So I was like, oh, cool, I'm going to take it out. And it literally starts, camera, like, countdown, epic intro, and then it's like us two just sitting there like this. Then we pick up the microphone, and then Todd is like, yo guys, what up? I am Johan Mello, also known as Romantic Human, also known as Todd. And I'm
Romantic Human?
here. Yeah, that was his nickname.
What?
And he's like,
Oh my god.
and I'm here with my good friend Rotterdam. What's up? I'm like, oh, what's up? I was so, it's terrible, but yeah, people liked it. I have no idea.
It's all good, man. It's all part of history. It's all part of the past.
I don't know. Back then we didn't really have the knowledge that we have these days. It's fun to look at though.
I mean, now we also got, of course, a nice crew supporting us. So, like, I asked for Pringles last week. I just offhandedly mentioned, I really like Pringles. Guess what was in the studio today, Roddy?
Pringles.
Pringles.
No, it's just funny though. Like, just imagine that if you go to an event to cast and no one tells you anything other than the fact that there is a microphone laying on the table. And when the countdown goes live, you just assume that you pick it up and you start talking into it. That's how we did it back then. It's lovely.
Amen.
So Snoot is ready, guys, but Euthermal is still not ready. We are waiting, and then we can continue with game number 4. Hopefully you guys had a lot of fun so far. Tomorrow we have another long day with a lot of awesome matches coming up as we're going to do the playoff bracket of this man's region. He's claimed it, the WCS NA Challenger playoffs.
You know,
gonna
you
take
say
place.
it's going to be another long day. I think it very well, even with close games, it could be a short day because North America is also a little bit more well known for being a little cheekier, cheesier. The funny thing is, there's actually a lot of players in North America that are actually staying in in different parts of
Yeah.
Asia, whether it be Korea or I think even Scarlet, I think is in China right now. You have Neeb who's in Korea, Moss is in Korea. Kind of funny how like all that stuff has worked out. And then
And the funny thing is that our actual Korean crew, who's playing tomorrow, I think he's playing from the North American region. So the Americans are in Korea, the Korean is in America, and everything makes sense. Let's play some StarCraft tomorrow. I thought for a split second that Utomo was actually in the lobby, but now Utomo has disappeared from the lobby, guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he'll eventually show up. This is actually the next mind game. He just says, "I'm just gonna throw Snoot off."
You know what always happens though?
What?
When we have like a 7 or 8 minute pause, it's gonna be like proxy 3
Yeah,
Rex.
every time.
That happens every time. It's a given.
You know what the funny thing is? I think the one player you could never really throw off with delays or something is Snoot. Snoot is like the person who
No, there's someone else that's better.
who
He doesn't play that much anymore, but
Hitman.
no. Do you remember Saki?
Yeah, Sake.
Zoka
Yeah.
is amazing because in
Oh.
every tournament, people would be like, "All right, are you ready to play?" And the gaming invite would come up, and he would stroke his beard, and he'd stare at the screen. He would just look at the game invite, and then his opponents are like, "Come on, man! Like, join the lobby!" You know, they're screaming from
Yeah.
across the room, Home Circle Cup, and he's just like, Cloud King. There.
You know, I actually kind of wish that there were more players that did do. As much as I would hate it as a commentator, I wish that there were more players that kind of said like, okay, I am given 5 minutes or something between every game or something. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna make use of it because I know it's gonna throw my opponent off.
You really?
I think I would love if players utilize those kind of tools because you see that stuff in other games.
No,
as well.
you see it in real sport. I
Yeah.
agree. I mean, you see a lot of fake diving and whatever. World Cup. We all know how that goes. Utomo's in the lobby, by the way, guys. So we can finally start game number 4. But what I don't like, I still feel that esports in that way is very different than real sports because we actually go to dinner with each other after the tournament. We hang out. We're teammates.
You have to stand face to face with that person.
Yeah,
later.
I'd feel a little bit awkward if I
Yeah.
for no reason I'll be like, yeah, restroom break, be right back, 7 minutes, while my opponent is ready, or just had a crushing defeat against or maybe a throw, imagine someone threw in game 1. You're like, yeah, we'll have a drink later, but for now I'm gonna let you think about it for 7 minutes. For absolutely, I think it's still different.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, but I'm not sure if I agree.
All right, we just need to find someone who does not go to dinner with everybody else and kind of has his own crew or something. But all right, I think that
Yeah.
that is all right. So Thermal is doing what he did versus Cyril last season of Challenger, where he's asking, "Can I play Protoss?"
And then they said no.
All right.
You're not allowed to race switch in the middle of the series. And then he said, "Can I just give the win?" Like, no, I don't think that's possible either. So I'm pretty sure we're going to get this game going.
Yeah, I think that the game should be starting in a moment, but all right, it sounds like actually we're just going to go to a short break while they're discussing things. So ladies and gentlemen, you're watching WCS Challenger. Sorry for the delays. We'll be back with game number 4 in a bit. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are about to get started with our next game after a long little delay. And we're
A long little delay.
That's what I call. That's what I call the padding, where I make it sound not as bad as it really was.
I see how it is. But you know, for me, this actually kind of works out.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Because I think we're getting closer to 11 p.m. So, like, in my dream world, right? Like, Mark just plays an amazing game now, drags it out 25 minutes.
What happens at 11 p.m.?
And then we have a next game, but I'm off on the next series. So then I have the double monitor setup of some Mana versus Serral, and I can watch some Deutschland in the World Cup. I mean, so come on, Uthermal, make it long. Because I've missed every...
Roddy, we're not allowed to talk about other games in the broadcast.
But that's not a game. It's a lifestyle, Robbie.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be starting up here on the top left-hand side of Catalyst. It is our red Terran player, Uthermal.
Are you really not allowed to talk about other games at the broadcast? I missed that memo. Is it true?
This is...
Hey, that's nice. That means that Tasers and Artosis will never take our job over here.
You can't talk about like
No,
all
they
the other games.
Can't make it through the first 3 minutes without some good old, I'm just gonna say it, Battletoads.
Oh.
Over here on the right bottom side, we're looking at the main base of our Norwegian Zerg. It is Snoot.
Going for the pool first, once again, a little concerned about the 2 or 3 racks. Especially, and you were talking about this before, actually, when we were on the break, that after a long delay, it's very common to see a player do something a little cheesy, to bust out the 2 or 3 racks or something along those lines. But this game, Uthermal, gonna be playing out pretty looking normal.
Yep. Once again, this is a big series, guys. The winner of this series will move on to the top 4. That is, of course, additional WCS points and also additional prize money. And you'll still be in the running to win WCS Challenger, which is honestly a prestigious title. But it is very important to make top 4 because you get that trip sponsored. Blizzard will take care of your trip. They'll put you in their hotel. They'll pick you up at the airport. All expenses paid. And you get direct seating into the round of 32 at WCS Valencia, which is only, what is it, 2 weeks away? 2.5? 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think just a few weeks away. But yeah, and I just think even just getting into the semifinals, it's going to build that confidence level for you up. You're going to be feeling better going into the tournament. You're like, yeah, I had some really good series. I think even someone like, for example, Soul will probably be going into something like Valencia and say, yeah, you know, I had some good games versus Serral, who's inarguably one of the best players in the entire foreign scene right now.
Yeah, but I mean, once again, getting seeded into the round of 32 is also massive. You think back of what happened in Austin, there is a group stage 1 that has players like Optimus, Namchar and Mana in the same group. So getting directly seeded into the round of 32 is a very nice thing to have.
Counterpoint though, Mana did make his way all the way through though. The group stage 1, group stage 2, group stage 3, then the playoffs to go and get to the finals versus Serral. So it's possible, but it's difficult. It's a long, long day.
Especially in a European WCS event, I think, because a lot of people love going to Valencia. It's a beautiful city, so a lot of these nerds, you know, we might be nerds, but we combine it with staying for an extra day or 2 and enjoy some good Spanish food and just have a good time overall. And obviously Spain is not that far away because Europe at the end of the day is quite small, to countries like Germany, France. So you're going to get a lot of those top guys that will not make it into the round of 32 immediately. But just think about the best 10 players of Germany and France all showing up in Valencia. It becomes tough very quickly, Ravi.
Okay, and now we end up seeing Reaper poking on forward. Actually, GamePage is to circumvent both of the queens here. Really, really nice job. The drone's even being pulled off the line for a moment, try and snipe that off, but Uthermal is known for his Reaper control. It is very, very good, and he manages to move in, get a full scout, push the queen slightly out of position, and escape out of there alive to be annoying with that. Later on, you can get additional scouts, but a lot of the time you want to keep that alive until the Hellions show up, because if you join that with some Cyclones, you can do a lot of damage to a third base, Roddy.
I like that. There is Reaper actually getting some damage done in the main base as well. For a split second there, I thought Snoot was not paying attention and he may have been able to put up a drone. So no real damage, but still annoying. But yeah, I like the Cyclones, man, especially on a map like Catalyst. We mentioned it before earlier today. The rush distance from natural to natural is really not that far. So why not? Why not? And we all know that Queens against Cyclones. That's not an ideal fight for Queens, because Queens don't deal that much damage.
Yeah.
And Cyclones are pretty tanky.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest problem with Cyclones, is they can do damage very quickly to buildings, but it's not so much the damage they do to like things like Queens or Lynx. It's about the amount of damage they can tank while they just wail away at a building or a spine call or things like those.
They're not bad against Queens though, I think, right?
They don't do too bad, but I think that's still like...
You're underestimating the Cyclone there, Ravi.
Okay, no Protoss player in the world underestimates the Cyclone anymore.
That's true.
Every Protoss player has lost games with Cyclones.
But your DTs do well against them, though, no?
Oh, actually, my DTs do pretty well. My DTs do magnificently versus Cyclones.
We've got a small link counter that will not get anything done because Utermo was able to keep a couple of Hellions away.
What?
Now Queens do very well against Medivacs. This is actually a problem now. Yeah, you gotta go back. I think you have to repair it because you want to pair the Cyclones up together with your Hellions. So you don't, because obviously otherwise the Lynx can get a surround on the Cyclones and then the Cyclones are useless. It seems like he doesn't want to go home to repair it though.
Yeah, he still wants to commit to this, but like you said, this is such a dangerous play if you don't actually have a full health or even like a remotely healthy medevac.
You could say what is kind of good is that Snoot has absolutely zero idea where these units from Utermo are. You can see Snoot positioning units in the main base. He's like, you're gonna drop my main, right? And now he spots, okay, a couple Hellions, but there's still probably something that's heading towards my main. Now he's gonna spot almost everything, but Snoot was quite far out of position. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like Utermo was able to do anything with it.
Yeah, and the Lynx are going to be coming forward and potentially sniping off some of these units. Okay, gets the Reaper. Cyclones are going to make it out of there alive, though. And the third base is now finished up here for Utermo. So all in all, not terrible pressure. He doesn't do a lot of damage, but he also doesn't really lose too many units or anything.
No, definitely don't think that Utermo is behind. I mean, there are a lot of drones on the production tab at this point, but that fort base is a little bit later, right? And I think some Zerg players would love to have it. Ooh, I was wondering what happened to this Liberator. I like it. And there's no creep here, so, I mean, obviously.
It's still going to take a while for those Queens to get there.
Let's just create a little highway.
The long and gradual moving over of those Queens is going to push back the Liberator. Is it just going to siege up a little bit further back?
But what Utermo achieved with this is that Snoot is like, you know what, I'll just take the middle. But the middle is always a little harder to defend.
The middle base is really scary to try and defend. I feel like that's always the first base that a Terran player is going to go after as soon as they see it.
Do you know this song that's popular right now? Like, you know, baby, just meet me in the middle?
Yes. Yeah.
I think it's made by Terran players talking to Zergs on Catalyst.
I can dig it.
So I could very well be lagging here.
Oh my god, Roddy.
It is actually me.
It is you.
It's because I have those 7 streams open.
All right, well, I guess I am the one observing now.
All right, so we're just going to switch over real quick to Ravi's computer. I apologize for that, but I really was not doing anything at all.
Joke's on you guys. You got to deal with my observing now.
Well, I'm not sure if I can follow this game at all. What is even happening, Ravi? Talk to me.
All right. Well, we got a lot of Lings that are out on the map right now, so Snoot is going to be able to try and flood over a lot of these units, but he still needs to get up those banelings. There they finally are. And here is that big push through the center that you were talking about, Utermo. He knows about that center base, and he is looking for it.
You know, when they sing the song, they don't say baby. They say, Zergy, why don't you just make me... Oh. I'm not going to go there, but there's a lot of Zergs, though. A lot of Zerglings over here for Snoot. Utermo is pushing out some serious damage, and he does get the hatchery, but at what cost? So far, he's saving a couple of his Marines, as long as he saves the medevacs. I think losing the Hellbats... Oh, he even picks up a Cyclone there, I believe. I think that's a success, isn't it? That's a big success.
Yeah, still getting the kill on that base and takes out a lot of the banelings and has enough Marines, I think, with good positioning to take on these Lings. With the Lings gonna have to back up. They also spot out that fourth base coming down, and Utermo very okay with taking a base in the middle.
All he wanted to do was just meet the Zergy in the middle, and he got his and he got his wish. So what is Snoot doing now? Snoot obviously needs his fort base. He's going up to a hive already. Some of these Queens are starting to take some damage. The creep is gonna get pushed back as well. I do feel a map like Catalyst is more suited for Utermo's playstyle, right? We know that Utermo loves to be an aggressive Terran player. He loves to just move out early. He's got very clean macro early on. He's got great micro when it comes to those early engagements. And this was a game where not much happened, but with that fight, I feel like Utermo has just skyrocketed himself in a very good position.
Yep. Both these players are going to be getting up those 2-2 upgrades. Snoot a little bit ahead on his own 2-2, so he might be able to capitalize on a bit of that, as well as, of course, getting up that hive tech. But like you said, getting up those 4th bases is going to be still a little bit annoying and difficult. Having his so late is something that is definitely going to be favoring Uthermal a good bit. A single Marine poking forward. I think he's looking for where the 4th base got taken this time. I don't think he made it far enough to scout it.
No, he did not, but he's gonna see it with 2 Medivacs, I believe, in the left bottom side of the map. There's a couple of Marine... Oh, 2 Liberators.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, he's cleaning up some creep in the center, opening up the pathway for an attack later on as well. Liberator's going to come up, and they do spot things out, so.
Uthermal's supply is massive, by the way. I mean, he's got a 30 army supply lead. There's no Broodlords, no Ultralisk Caverns.
There's not even a bank for Snoot either, so it's not like he's saving up to make a ton of hive tech units, or even get up a bunch of hive tech upgrades.
I love how Uthermal's using these Liberators. While Snoot is busy dealing with this, Uthermal's marching to the other side of the map. The upgrades have finished up now as well. He's like, yeah, you had your two upgrades before me, but now I've got them as well. There are 15 more Banelings morphing, as you showed it as well. So Uthermal has to be a little bit careful here, because we all know what Banelings on creep can do to Marines, but this tank positioning, I mean, is this Maru or is this Uthermal?
I mean, he's also killed off a lot of the creep tumors, so it hasn't quite receded just yet, but the Siege Tank's doing a lot of friendly fire alongside those Banelings, so all of those bio units do get cleaned up.
I mean, that's more expensive for Snoot, though, who has a worse economy to begin with. You don't really want to be trading Banelings for Marines almost 1 by 1.
Okay, a couple more Marines pushing on forward. And again, that creep, you're starting to see it recede. This is where it becomes harder for Snoot, so he has to go now. He swarms in on top of those Marines. He goes in, he saves back some of those Banelings for the Blinding Clouds to come down on top of the Siege Tanks, but the
splits.
Oh,
the splits.
Oh, he just dodges out of all of those Banelings, and he still has plenty of army left over.
Those were the best Blinding Clouds I think Snoot could have wished for, but incredibly good control there on the north side of that fight, where the new Marines were coming in. Uthermal's able to save quite a few of them. It is important that, I mean, Uthermal's actually up in the workers. He's on 4 bases. I don't even know what is important. You know what is important, Ravi? That Uthermal doesn't lose all these Marines, and then he's going to be more than fine.
All right, he's going to be able to salvage the situation. He unloads, almost ends up losing some of those Medivacs. The Siege Tanks all getting pulled by the Vipers is a nice pickoff, but it's mostly just Queens that are alive now. The Lings, the Banelings, even the Hydras are all getting picked off.
Yeah, Marines seem a little bit indecisive. I like that move as well. Run towards the right side, run away from those Queens for a split second. Just pick off these Hydras, and I think that's going to be it, Ravi. I think Uthermal is going to send it to Game 5 after a very well-executed build, and that one moment where Snoot was like, you know what? I'll take that base in the middle. You're going to be annoying with your Liberator in the left bottom side. I'll take it in the middle. And Uthermal was like, thank you very much. That's exactly what I wanted. Let's do that. And I did. Yeah, and I honestly feel the game got decided there.
All right. Well, a pretty decisive game number 4, I would say.
Yeah.
As we get ready to move into game number 5, we've had some really back and forth games. Some of them have been a little bit more one-sided, or one of them, I think, just one player holding an advantage for a long period of time in the game. But that was probably the most decisive game we've seen so far.
Yep. Just straight to the point. No second guessing, very decisive. I loved it as well, especially since Uthermal took a little bit of a break. Seemed like he was not totally in the right place, but then got it together, and that's good. I mean, you did mention like maybe sometimes you should take a break. I do think that if you feel like you are, a player with high tempo, or if you do feel like games frustrate you more than maybe it does to other people, I think you should take time for yourself.
Yeah.
I don't think you should take time to annoy your opponent. I'm not a fan of that. Maybe one day we'll see that in esports. Actually, there's already people who do that.
Yeah.
But I'm not a big front runner of that, but I do believe that if you have, a lot of temperament, if you have a lot of emotions in your gameplay, then you should absolutely take a break between your games and be like, all right, let's calm down, recollect those thoughts, and let's keep it together. And it seemed like it really helped you, Uthermal, there.
All right, well, I know what I'm going to be doing to you in the next Caster Invitational. I'm sure I'll stand a great chance against you after that.
I'm incredibly worried, bro.
All right, our next map is going to be Darkness Sanctuary, though, and this is a bit of a weird one, especially in things like Terran versus Zerg, because depending on the spawn locations, the Zerg player can sometimes they have to take that 3rd base, or sometimes they want to take that 3rd base before they know where the Terran player actually spawned, and sometimes you start expanding toward your opponent. We saw what happened in that last game when you expand toward your opponent.
Yep, but I think that our Norwegian Zerg is actually going to be quite pleased. with the spawning positions that he's gonna find himself in, as he is Azurk, of course, representing Team Liquid. Let's give that amazing team and website some love. Right upside, it is Snoot.
And spawning down there in the bottom left-hand side of the map, we have the red Terran player who was able to take that last game. It is Team Liquid's Euthermal.
Of course, representing Team Liquid as well.
This is a great site.
It is. It is. Still has that active forum. Always reading some comments, a couple of interesting threads as well.
What's your favorite thread?
Nada's body.
Nada's body. That's
Absolutely.
you know, that was the only correct answer actually. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I swear you're not going into a trap right now. Just Google search Team Liquid Nada's body. I promise it's PG.
Is it though?
Is it? Most
Alright.
of it is.
So Snoot is playing it safe, guys. He once again went for the spawning pool before the hatchery. Now this is not a massive economic deficit. There is something I want to talk about, by the way, Darkness Sanctuary. We were talking a little bit about like the guessing game element, right? Of sometimes where do you expand if you don't really know where your opponent is? Could you potentially take the wrong base? And there's always people who say like, well, why don't you just scout with a worker, you know? Obviously you can do that, but on this level, even a single worker, not having that worker mining in the beginning of the game makes a big difference. Like I like to play, obviously I'm a Protoss player, so I play some PvZ, and every now and then you scout your opponent last, you know, you go to the right bottom, he's not there, right top, he's not there, and you arrive at the left top, and then Zerglings show up in your natural. And then people are like, why don't you just scout with 2 probes? And it's like, you can't do that. Like, you know, that's 20% of my economy in the well, a little bit less, but
Right, I don't know if you heard the conversation I had with Nate. This is very little to do with like exactly this game.
okay.
But I think one of my favorite things to do in Diamond League is I cannon rush people, but I'll send out 3 probes to scout out every single base at the same time. And sometimes, man, it's the strats that shouldn't work that do work.
On Darkness Sanctuary?
On Darkness Sanctuary, I
Okay.
send out 3 probes and I cannon rush.
If you want to cannon rush, yes. I mean, that's the only way to do it, right?
Yeah.
It's I don't recommend those builds, by the way, guys. But if you do want to know more about
there's
it,
some links over by the command center actually. The man should sneak in since the Reaper is busy. SCV has to be pulled off and the command center is getting delayed. This is really nice kind of, I mean, this is what you want from this kind of opening, especially when you only make 2 lings. This is like the ideal opening here for Snoot.
yeah. I mean, Dream Scenario gets the SCV, but he doesn't get it. But the SCV was obviously supposed to finish up this command center, and that means that the entire build of Euthermal is going to be thrown off a little bit. I'm a little bit surprised that Euthermal did not SCV scout yet, decided to send out the Reaper, but I mean, he checked the right bottom side, he knows that Snoot is not there, but as we follow this Reaper, it's pretty clear that Euthermal still does not know that this is a cross-map scenario.
That's
and
a lot
look
of
at
lings.
the amount of Zerglings.
Okay.
We're going for an A.
You know,
What did he scout? Did he scout? Nothing.
yeah, I mean, he just saw the command center, he saw, I think, the barracks with maybe the reactor or something coming up.
So
but-
can the Reaper spot this?
Well, it's going to be coming in so late. It's going to just see a 3rd base that's coming down. It's like, cool, the queens are going to be over here. He just missed all of the links. He's now seeing just 2 links. That's all he's really seeing. I don't think that's enough.
Yeah, but 2 links, they were heading towards the other side of the map. 5 links chasing a Reaper. Let's see, it's a lot of Zerglings. There is, no, don't go down that ramp too far.
I don't think he has any idea.
Nope, but he's about to find out. He does have a little choke point here.
Oh,
That's a good
okay.
wall off with your brain.
Yes. And now, okay, the lings are starting to get a little bit more surface
Well done.
areas. Now they're through the wall in, but most of the lings have been taken care of. And he
Very
didn't
well
lose
done.
any workers so far.
No, very, very well done there by Euthermal. Excellent positioning on those Marines. Good micro as well. Went back at the right time. Few more links will come in, and this is that moment where Snoot tells himself, why did I make units? Why don't I just make queens and defend and build drones? Because these Zerglings, they never get anything done. That was 18 links for just 4 Marines. Obviously an incredibly good trade for Euthermal, who probably felt annoyed about that early game, like you said, you know, that SCV was not building that command center. It was a little bit frustrated, and now you're just like, all right, well, thank you very much. I just did an insane amount of economic damage to you. and all I had to do was defend.
Yeah, I mean, that is the dream scenario there. And of course, I want to highlight that that is the sort of build that I think also you're hoping maybe that your opponent might open up with, like the reactor on the factory, you're getting out Hellions or something, but also you're hoping that if there are going to be Marines, they're going to be closer over to the ramp. They're going to be situated there to prevent just small groups of Lings, like 5 or 6 Lings, from getting much scouting information. So if that's the case, you get a surround on them. That's what Snute was hoping for. That doesn't end up happening, though.
Snute does not know that there are 2 medevacs of Stim Marines heading towards his base.
He's got to, after seeing all those barracks.
He's expecting it, but what I kind of mean to say is that he doesn't know where they are.
Ah, okay, yeah. Well, he has more Lings on the way. The Queens, he's got 1 Queen in the main base and a Creep Tumor there.
Okay, now the Zerglings will start showing up. There's a Cyclone in the mix as well. There's only a single Queen here, and the bases are not connected. So I think Uthermal is going to be able to get quite a bit of economic damage there. Maybe get a Baneling Nest as well. Now he's just going to go for the Zerglings instead, and then try to get as many Queens as possible.
But the Lings are all going down so quickly, and the Queens are able to get some damage done. They are able to get both of the medevacs with the drones going down, like you said. 10 workers and maybe even a few more. A few focus fires down. Yep, gets an 11th. Doesn't get the 12th, but that's still a substantial amount of damage.
Yep, I think that Uthermal is going to be quite pleased with that. Now, it wasn't for free, of course, guys. That's still at the price of, I think it was 12 Marines, a Cyclone, and 2 medevacs. Since Uthermal's economy was not incredibly good, this is obviously something that he needed to do damage there. This is not one of those like, oh, you know, if you get something, it's nice, and if not, no big deal. Like, no, he absolutely needed to do that amount of damage. I still think Snute is in it. The only thing I'm very worried about for Snute is that his Baneling speed is going to be very late.
I mean, just the layer is so unbelievably late at this point. When it's starting at 6:30, and now I think it's going to be finishing up maybe around like 7 minutes and 30 seconds or something. That is a bit of a difficult spot, and it puts all of that stuff behind it. It even puts, of course, the 1-1 upgrades that he had on the way. He can't really start up the 2-2 immediately, and that maybe gives Uthermal a chance to not only finish up his own 1-1, get a little bit of an upgrade lead. It's all these small little things that add up.
But the only thing you can say, though, is that since Uthermal is making tanks and he loves to make pushes with tanks, it seems very hard to get tanks to the other side of the map on this map, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and the creep threat has gone completely uncontested because Uthermal went straight to the main. There was no hindering of any creep whatsoever.
So is he just going to go pure Liberator Marine? Maybe he's going to stop building tanks. There's only a single tank out at this point. But it just seems very difficult to ever make a tank push cross-map Darkness Sanctuary. I mean, how would you even get away with that?
I think you load him up into the medevacs and boost around and maybe hope to get into a good position.
Uthermal's going to miss that drone. Snute actually, this is almost like a hidden base at this point. Like, I know it's not. I know it's, you could say it's a regular 5th. But there's no way that he can defend it at this point against multi-prong aggression, and his fort isn't even done yet.
Yeah, that is a very early 5th base there. Snute is gonna need to get some units in position, but again, as long he also has to be careful not to push those medevacs back into the 5th. But yeah, all right, medevacs gonna head over to the main.
I think that 5th is gonna be problematic as it is. Ooh, Queens!
At the same time, there's also some Lings on the left-hand side. They were trying to swing in, but I think
Spore.
Oh, Liberators are... There's a really slow reaction over here from Snute, because he is busy with some Lings on the left-hand side trying to knock down these supply depots. I think there's a hole in that. I don't think he has to go after those supply depots, but he just might be busy with this.
No, I don't think there's a hole there.
Okay.
Marine stim forward, get 1 Queen, get the 2nd Queen as well. Hot pick up there by Uthermal. Liberator still denying some mining of this base. If Uthermal finds that 5th base, then I think this game becomes incredibly problematic for Snute. I cannot imagine a world where he doesn't.
Okay, Lings managed. Oh god, they're going the long way around and not quite able to retreat out properly. So all those Lings on the counterattack are going to go down. The medevacs are still alive with just a small number of these Marines. And Snute has a lot of Lings to work with, a 2-2 on the way, but he's having a hard time cleaning stuff up.
But he does have Mudas on the way, and that's going to make it a little bit easier to keep track of these medevacs.
Yeah.
Thermal's still completely unaware, guys, of this base. Now, there isn't much here, so you could say it's not the end of the world. Snute fires up 10 more drones, by the way.
Well,
What an...
One of those Liberators even got out of there alive. It's actually retreating back home now. That's kind of amazing.
All right, well, 2-2 upgrades about to finish up. Uthermal is actually marching across the map with tanks. finds those Mutas as well, but that's a
Ooh.
lot of Mutas. So now Yutomo should also know that means you probably don't have too many Banelings. Scans, and he sees that those 10 Banes are not going to complete. There's not a single Baneling out on the map at this point, but I believe that he's probably morphing around 30 right now. Huh?
17 around right now. They're trying to be morphed in. And this is the kind of big moment here. Euthermal making his big push across the map. He's cleaned up some of the creep spread, but moving over to this right-hand side. Euthermal isn't going to be finding a lot of creep on this angle.
I always feel that the fourth base of Terran players, when they just build in a location like this, is so exposed, right? If Snoot, like, instead of going for those run-bys before, that seems to be the run-by that you dream of. All right, so Yutomo is starting to get his tanks in a somewhat decent position. He knows there are Banelings morphing. He knows there's quite a few Banelings out there. He's going to cut off that path, okay?
I guess you can pick up some units in a medevac and go over to that
all
base.
the tanks are on siege, Ravi.
Oh,
siege!
Oh my god, he's sieging a little bit late. Actually, very late now. The siege tanks finally get their shots off, but the Banelings have already connected with all of these Marines. The medevacs are pretty much the only units left alive, and even those are not long for this world, with the Mutas coming forward.
5 tanks on siege. Snoot saw it, and he's like, all right, well, that's going to make this engagement a lot better for me. I had some confidence in my Banelings and my Zerglings and my Mutas, but if you unsieged everything, like, well, thank you very much, I'll jump on top of it.
That's the dream engagement that you couldn't have asked for a better moment to pounce on that.
Planetary is not done yet.
Oh boy, I don't even know that you go out. Do you even go up to the planetary? Actually, you don't have enough Banelings to go anywhere else, I guess.
This is risky by Snoot. He has to be a little bit careful.
As long as he keeps the Mutas alive, it's maybe okay. Because the Lings, for killing off a couple of workers, it's not bad.
Well, he got a couple SCVs and he denied the turret, so it's nice. He's being annoying, but hey, there's no hive. I was about to say. Okay, now we start a hive. Tor's around as well. Good old Tor.
Gotta back out of there for now. He also, again, Snoot does not have any Banelings really. He has one Baneling on the map. Hey, nice free siege tank. Is going to be able to go after a missile turret that's not going to get repaired. Kills off a few more workers. This is the value of those Mutas.
Yep. Getting the tank is obviously very nice as well. Still does not know about this base on the right side. This actually become... Oh, wait, he's off green.
His own... I mean,
Do you think he saw this? It's hard to see purple on this minimap, to be honest.
Maybe, but at the same time, I don't think it really matters that much because he hasn't been mining from it the whole time.
But I still think it's nice to know.
Yeah, yeah.
Soon, Snoot will be mining off it, and whether it's already established or if he has to start a 5th base makes a massive difference, right?
This is true.
The difference between just transferring a bunch of workers or having to build a brand new hatch makes a big diff.
It is. There's also a 6th base coming down on the top left-hand side. But Scan comes down into the main base. So Euthermal, I think, just scouted out that hive tech that was on the way. So he's going to know he has to be prepared for potential Broodlords or Ultras, whichever one Snoot's going to go for.
Quick pick off on one of those missile turrets there. Snoot is currently maxed out. He's sitting at 24 Banelings, but he has got 113 Zerglings out on the map. I mean, that's obviously very cool and impressive, but we also know how those fights can go. You know, sometimes you're like, oh, he's got 150 Lings, and then it's like 3 tank shots and a couple Marines standing behind. It's like, okay, they didn't kill anything.
Would love if you're going to have that many Lings to also get up Adrenal Glands.
Yeah, I mean, I think the hive just finished up, right? He started it very late.
He's already started his 3-3 and stuff.
I think it's probably next on the list. So we've got a couple Banelings that are going to blow up these depots. The sensor tower is not very well positioned for these kind of run-bys, but it's just Lings in the end, and it's Marines, as the Taurus are going to take care of it. So that wasn't very effective for Snoot.
Yeah, not getting too much done there. It does get pushed back. The depot's just going to start back up. We got Adrenal Glands as well as those 3-3 upgrades on the way. But 3-3 for Euthermal, a lot faster, as is not exactly super atypical for a Terran player to be ahead on those 3-3 upgrades. But he's going to make a big push right around the time that those are getting close to finishing up. His siege tanks and everything is not quite sieged up, but he's also off of creep, so maybe has a bit more time to work with.
I'm actually a little bit like, Snoot obviously has the money, right? Snoot has the money. He's got the reinforcements that are going to come in from every single angle. And I know he's just going to buy time until he can get ultras. But I feel if Snoot takes one bad fight, it cannot just be like, oh, that was a bad fight. And I think it could be a disastrous fight. Because he's working with a very flimsy army.
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of the danger of staying on that Ling Bling Muta style. A lot of the time, we've seen a lot of players move away from making kind of the Muta switch. because it's so dangerous. And oh my god, these Banelings gonna be rolling in without the Ling support. They go in on top of the siege checks. I guess that's some damage, but it's not good enough.
No, I don't think that's good enough. It's the Marines that you have to worry about. Now, of course, there will be Ultras soon, guys. Utermal is going to go forward. He's like, well, you just traded all your Banes. There is still 1,000 gas in the bank, which means 31 Banelings are morphing. Utermal scans. Do you think he... No. That would be
No,
such
you can't get on top of those in time.
Why not? Stim to win, baby.
Oh man, he's so far on creep. He's not clearing out any of it either.
Okay,
I don't. Maybe a little dangerous.
This is actually getting nuts now. Why is he still here?
I mean, he hasn't actually. He's taken out the army, but he hasn't actually done economic damage or anything.
He's getting
taking a lot of the mutas.
Yeah, he's getting some of the mutas, which is nice. A few banings, but there's no way that this fight will end well for Utermal.
Okay, he's starting to stem forward, but there's just not anything even resembling a large enough number of units over here for Utermal to deal with this. He just gets completely overrun on creep in not exactly the dream engagement from before, but still a pretty awesome engagement for Snute on creep.
Yeah, but Snute did burn through his entire bank, so you could say at least in that regard things are even now. There is one Tor. Boost this one too! No, he forgets to boost the one with the Tor. Why are you not boosting the one with the Tor? Okay, he drops it.
Yeah.
No! What is happening? Sorry,
he just lost so many units though, and I don't know if he can deal with a big counterattack. He needs to be able to defend all 4 of his bases. I think he was even looking to maybe try and get up a 5th base soon.
What was that?
How in the world is he going to get up a 5th base in this situation?
Utermal derping a little bit there. I think in the end, he didn't have to lose that one medevac carrying the Tor, because I think he boosted all the medevacs that were not carrying.
Yeah.
And then to save the Tor, he not only just lost the Tor while it was being carried, but he lost 2 more medevacs. It was -3 medevacs in the Tor, obviously a big deal if you kind of broke. He was in so deep, right, when it came to creep. He was just standing there surrounded by a sea, an absolute swarm of creep.
Okay, well, he's going to try and make a push up along the left-hand side to establish a 5th base, but Roddy, 5th bases is where this map gets complicated. We already saw Snute kind of bypass the issue by sort of secretly establishing it and never really getting pressure because his opponent didn't know. I don't think it's going to fly for Utermal.
Couple Banings are going to get picked off. Utermal, as long as he still has 107 army supply, so you could say the dream is alive. He's got tanks, he's got liberators. He's got a Marine fighting a Queen. It's something. I love how close they're expanding.
Oh,
look at this.
Look, as he moves up to the 5th base, look at where Snute's army is moving. It's moving down to the 4th, and Utermal is going to be so out of position for this.
Yep. Utermal has absolutely no idea. His entire army is at this new 5th base. So Snute finds a couple of these SCVs are being transferred. He's going to find the first tanks as well, and then he should know there's more. A Widow Mine, I was wondering about that.
Okay. He's getting some better trades over here. The Banelings finally starting to connect with a lot of the bio and a lot of SCVs, it looks like, also going down. And yeah, there's just a little bit too much here for Snute.
Well, it's mostly on the Remax, I think, though. I mean, there's a couple of Ultras left, but they're very low in HP. There's not that much anti-air. That fight wasn't, I want to say, that bad for Utermal. It's just that Snute is very rich, and Utermal was not. And that's why it's like, oh, Snute still maxed out, yes, on like 80 new Lings and a couple Ultras that were coming and more Corruptus.
I almost feel like that's going to be enough, though, to at least shut down a 5th base.
No, I definitely agree with you.
Yeah.
I just think the fight in and by itself wasn't a total disaster.
It wasn't a total disaster. He definitely had he had like a nice little spread there. He had a nice concave going into that, but at the end, I still feel like it was an okay fight, and he needed a great fight.
Yeah. No, he needed a fantastic fight. Considering the economic state of the game, Snute was able to just, at one point, go up to that 80+ worker count, and it's been nice ever since. And you know that things are going well if you're thinking about running into 3 Liberators and tanks on top of a ramp. What is he waiting for? Okay, he's going to go for the planetary instead, or?
Is he going to go to the... I think he might just go to the south of the 4th base, which I don't hate that much if he's...
Or pick up reinforcements, right?
Yeah, I mean that's also nice.
There's exposed tanks everywhere. It's just going to be so hard for Utermal to reinforce that position on the left top side. There's a couple of Marines.
He's also moving forward on the north side at the same time, and he does get pushed back.
Race the depot, race the depot, race the depot! Oh, that would be so cool.
All right, it looks like Snute, he's been poking forward at that 4th base also, but he sees that there's still just so many units over there. He's been holding off, but I think finally, no, just, he's okay with the cleanup at the 3rd. That's more than enough.
If you take out this base and then you take out the natural as well, then aren't you quite happy with how things are going? And don't forget that Snute during all of this is still mining. Look at this mini-map.
He's taken the map.
This is so weird. It feels like we have to save these forces, you know. This is a campaign mission. All right, the turn has been overrun. Please get these units out of here safely. They're holding on for their dear life, but it's not going to last forever.
Roddy, you got a spoiler alert. Kerrigan dies here.
No, too soon, Ravi. Wait.
Okay, well, we got a plus. Is that +3 flyer?
Yep.
That's actually pretty amazing. You don't see that very often.
I see it a lot. They make it against me all the time. All this corrupt is Ravi.
If you only make Phoenix, then yes, I can understand.
Snoot seems like he wants to try to run into the Liberators, run into the tanks. He obviously has enough. He's been economically ahead very far after that big cleanup. The Banelings blow up all the SCVs. The Planetary will finally fall. And Yuto is coming in with some reinforcements. Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, a lot of the army supply deficit is also in workers, so it's bad, but it's not as bad as it might look on the army supply.
I mean,
Wow.
he's fighting for his dear life, but there's no medevacs, right? So you
yeah.
can't win a game without medevacs.
He has one medevac on the way, Roddy, eventually.
All right.
If he could just snipe off 6 or so bases, then Snoot will be on an even economy.
I'm afraid that. Look at Snoot. He's like, oh no. Let's sacrifice the bait. No, never mind. I'm not. Or maybe I should. Should I know? He's like, yeah, no. Okay.
I think Thermal knows. GG gets called. Snoot is going to advance on to the semi-finals match after a long, hard-fought victory.